We are live on the Virtual Grip Network, and once again, we hop in the DeLorean to travel back to 1966 for this season's YesterYear Tour Modifieds, where some of the best Tour mod drivers will compete for one of the most prestigious and unique titles on the iRacing platform, the Old Red Boot. Week 4 is about to get underway, and it's time to put on those cowboy hats because hiding in the Tennessee hills sits one of the oldest and most action-packed half-mile racetracks that North America has to offer, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the Flameless 300, a place that has offered full rides, cotton candy, and Saturday night short track racing since 1954. Hundreds of NASCAR drivers have touched the asphalt in Nashville, but no one dominated that place quite like Cuckoo Marlin. Marlin came into the Flameless 300 defending track champion, but would suffer mechanical problems early in the event, landing him 27th. That opened the door for fast Freddie Fryer to bring home his first win of the 1966 season. Another notable driver making his first start at the Fairgrounds that day was Darrell Waltrip. While this day proved tough for Darrell, he went on to become the all-time winner at the Fairgrounds with 67 checkered flags. In times where the track has struggled financially over the years, Darrell has always been there to help. Whether it's been financially or just his voice, Darrell helped this place survive. And this race in 1966 was his first peak at the Fairgrounds. Before we dive too much deeper, let's try to remember what happened in Week 3. If you haven't watched, stop right now and go back, because the Sobo 150 at Richmond was full of fireworks. With 7 laps to go, Jerry got loose coming out of 4 and collided with wrecked oil. Tom Ogle tried to pass the two drivers by shooting the center, but he found himself in the middle of a 3-car pileup. This allowed Brian Bianchi to take advantage of a green-white checkered and hold off Darrell Weininger to bring home his second consecutive checkered flag this season. With 3 races in the books, Todd Liston enters as the point leader with 2 podium finishes this season. Can Liston finally nail his first win? Can Bianchi get 3 in a row? All of these questions and more will be answered when we take the checkered flag for 300 laps at the Nashville Fairgrounds. I'm Zach Chapman, a.k.a. Shaggy, along with my partner in crime, J.R. Shepard, and we're lucky enough to have the heartbeat of VGN bringing us all the sights and sounds, the one and only Ryan Seneker. The first of back-to-back races here in Nashville this season, and there's no better man to tell you about it than the man with actual track time here. JR, 300 laps, man. What can we expect tonight at the Fairgrounds?
It is going to be a tough night tonight for these tour modified drivers around this place. Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway is a 0.6 of a mile oval that will offer some intense, close racing. And a lot of that comes from the character that this track has developed in the racing surface over the years. From overhead, this place looks very symmetrical, but I can tell you it drives completely different. One of those differences comes on the exit of Turn 2. Right around the bottom of the track is a big bump. These drivers will have to be sure that they keep their wheel pointed straight and they gently apply that throttle as they go through that area. If they do not, we will see some cars get loose and either spin out or make contact with a car that is on their outside. Another place I'm going to be watching here tonight will be the exit of Turn 4. The banking really falls off there, and it makes the car drift up and into that outside wall. If you're not careful, especially as the tires wear, and with no fast repairs here tonight, that could mean the end of your night altogether. And Shaggy, Nashville is known for its love of country music and cowboy boots. So in my opinion, if you want a shot at that prestigious Old Red Boot at the end of the season, you have to make it happen here tonight in Music City.
Yeah, you know, 300 laps. And I mentioned the first of back-to-back. We're coming here again after a couple-week break. We'll be back here. So drivers, they got to bring their best here. Let's take a look at the points. Not a lot of time left in qualifying, so we won't be able to really look at it. But you heard me mention Todd Liston coming in with a 5-point lead. Brian Johnson there in third. Mark Fish fourth. Scott Negus fifth. But, you know, somebody we don't see on that list, two-time winner Brian Bianchi. I mean, JR, you have one bad race early in the season. You can see what it does to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You cannot afford a bad race throughout this season, but more importantly, you have to make sure you get every point possible. That means not giving up when you're having a disappointing night.
And it looks like we're going to get ready to take a look here at the starting lineup as qualifying has come to a close, and we're about ready to set the grid here. 300 laps at the Fairgrounds. Starting on the pole, the 13 of Tom Ogle. To the outside, Ryan Pittman.
Inside of row 2, we got Ken Allen, the 81 car. Outside in the 29, Scott Negus.
Row 3 to the inside, Gavin Adams. To the outside, Lloyd Moore.
Rolling off in 7th place, we have Rex Hoyle. On the outside, Todd Cousins.
Brian Neff to the inside of row 5. To the high side, Jeff Lemire.
Rolling off in row 6, inside we have Chris Hazlett. Outside, Jeffrey Harden.
The Double Deuce, Bruce Pearson lines up on the inside of row 7. To the outside, Brian Johnson.
In row 8, 2 drivers that have had a lot of success so far this season. Brian Bianchi rolling off on the inside. Outside, Todd Liston.
You are not kidding. Keep your eye on row 8. My man, that's going to be a good one. Row 9 to the inside, Torrance Childs. To the outside, Daryl Whiting.
In row 10, inside, we got Alan Wanamaker. Outside, Lowell Jewell.
Tom Hilbert lines up on the inside of row 11. To the outside, Randy Schuler.
Rolling off in 23rd position, we got Steve Hilbert. Outside in 24th, Victor Lane.
Our final row of the evening here, 26 drivers. Row 13 to the inside, John Hastings. To the outside, Mark Fish. Is neither of those guys put in a qualifying time, so they just want to start at the back here, pace themselves. I think that's a good idea, JR. 300 laps. I mean, a long time to play.
Absolutely. There's no reason to push hard at the beginning, but the one thing you have to make sure you do is stay on that lead lap. If you don't, we know there's no lucky dogs or waiver rounds. It's going to be a long night for you.
Oh, Brian Bianchi, we're here, and did not take the grid, so getting 3 in a row. Not going to be easy here. Missing the start. You mentioned there, you go a lap down, it's going to be tough to get it back. He's going to have to hope he grids up and pulls out right away, maybe gets an early caution here, but we roll through 3 and 4 for the final time. You see that green flag, it's high, and it's ready to fly. We've got 300 laps to play at the Fairgrounds, and man, oh man, they're racing it side by side right away. 3 rows deep. I thought maybe we'd get them to calm down. There we go, front 2 settle down, Pittman falls in line. But boy, that 30 machine of Gavin Adams, not too sure what happened there, JR, if he got loose, but he lost 2 spots already there coming out of 2.
Yeah, the one thing about these Tour Modifieds, those first couple of laps are super sketchy. We see the 30 getting loose going into turn 1. These tires, it's like driving on ice for a couple of laps until those temperatures start to come up.
Yeah, he got a little help from the 54 there on entry. I think he was still trying to gather up those tire temps, let it come back to him after the slide lap 1, and there just drove in a little slower than maybe the 54 was ready for. But no harm, no foul. Guys race on, and Bruce Pearson looking at that double deuce. He's making his move to the inside there of the 30, and Gavin. You know, this leads me to my question here, JR, perfect timing. Do you want to be on the outside? Because I think, you got to trust the guy on the inside, but I think it may be a little easy to get the pass done on the outside tonight compared to the inside.
Yeah, it definitely can be, especially through turns 1 and 2. That outside works really nice. You can make the outside work in turn 3 also, but you got to be super careful when you get over to turn 4 because that banking falls off. Very easy for the outside driver to smack that wall, and it's just it happens all at once. You do not expect the car to go out toward that wall, and then it does. And if you hit that outside wall with that right front here, you could really mess up your night.
See that 27 trying to work to the inside, but now advantage 99 Weininger on the outside here. That's kind of what we're seeing. And earlier, Ryan had him up front there a little bit on the leaders as you see Lowell Jewell work to the inside. Those leaders, I mean, they are running that middle lane. They aren't going to go up too high. Why would you? There's a bunch of marbles up there. But, Tom Ogle, he is inviting you to take that inside right now. But first, caution waves the boss man, Victor Lane, on the inside. Possibly some contact coming out of 2. We'll have to take a look at this here. It's not getting it there. And yeah, I'm kind of seeing, so I can cheat. Ryan can't do this, just fast rewinding it here. And it looks like he just, having something wrong with the car. He pulled to the inside and was going slow enough that iRacing didn't like it through the caution. But now, he's in that boat here, JR, where somebody could be out there saying, oh, he did that intentional. He wanted a caution. Well, he's going to be at least a lap down. So that pretty much ruined Victor's night. There's no way any part of that was intentional there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, we talked about you do not want to be a lap down, and now he's already 2 laps down, so absolutely nothing intentional there. Obviously having some type of problem, but it does bring up the point. We talked about Brian Bianchi. He did not take the grid. He's out there now, but he is 1 lap down. I know that it's going to be tough, but Brian has tons of speed in these modifieds. He can potentially make it up. It's a good thing that it happened this early in the race because it gives him time to try to get there, but he's going to have to do it on pure speed. There are no lucky dogs.
Yeah, and, I think, obviously, JR, you make friends in this league, but I think the guys up front, they know that. They've got him trapped the lap down. Maybe, it was a mistake, but at the same time, that's not they're not Big Brother. They don't have to help them, so they're going to make Brian work here to keep that and stay a lap down. That's not a guy you want battling for position with you, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's part of the strategy with racing is once that driver has a bad moment and they get themselves in that 1 lap down position, you know it. And you know that, hey, I need to beat that driver in order to try to win this race. I'm not going to do anything to help that driver out. So I'm going to put the pressure on him. If he comes up here and tries to race, I'm going to race him because I want to make sure he's a lap down if we get another caution.
The lights do go off on the pace truck, so be going back racing here this time. If you're out there, watching, maybe try something different there. If you got a fan of your driver, Ryan, you won't hear him tell us, but if there's somebody you want to hear from tonight, mid-race interview, maybe type it in there. Make Ryan look at that chat box. All right, so here we got a Brian fan. I didn't get a last name, so it could be any Brian. Brian Johnson. Maybe we'll pull up Brian Johnson here next. But the green flag's high. It's about ready to fly. Lap 12 underway. Tom Ogle with a good jump there. JR, he scared me. It looked like when it hooked up, he was going to go up and get in that outside wall. That thing really jumped to the right on him.
Yeah, it definitely can in these tour modifieds. The SKs, you don't really have to worry about that on a restart, but these tour modifieds, a lot more horsepower. You have to be careful with that.
Yeah, all of a sudden, man, they just grab for you, and you see it goes. But boy, it is a bee's nest back there in the middle. I can't tell who is that. The 62? No, that's maybe it is Jeff. No, who's low behind? Is that a 42? It's got a yellow roof, man. He is up there. He's gone. Oh, that's Mark Fish. Okay, that's why. I was wondering why we saw a car going real high. So I need to learn to. Look, he's a lap down, so Mark probably just trying to get up out of the way here. That makes a whole lot more sense. I thought we had a car struggling there, maybe had some contact. Right now, the up front, first 6, 7 guys all in line. Don't start to get racy until, not even in the top 10. I think that early caution there, JR, it's got him settling down here a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's 300 laps, so there's going to be a lot of just taking care of your stuff and turning laps here for a while. Filling out your car, seeing what it's doing, also gives you the opportunity to kind of ride and see what your competitors' cars are doing and where they may have a weakness. Then you can try to capitalize on that longer into this run, but ultimately these drivers want to get these laps in. 300 laps, again, that's a long, long way.
Yeah, I think just the biggest thing that scares me about it being too patient, Ryan had just nailed it with that last camera with the quick flip. If you're in the back of the pack, JR, you are already a half a lap down. So, you can want to be patient. You want to let it ride a little bit, but at some point, we know these guys are coming at us with a long green flag run, and you can't be caught on that back foot. And now, as I'm talking here, Ryan Pittman, right as Ryan goes to it, perfect. Those instincts, man, he is reeling him in here. We're seeing him use a little bit of a diamond line. Do we like that, JR?
I do at this racetrack for sure. The diamond line really seems to work. You don't see it a whole lot when it comes to higher bank tracks, but it works here, and the main reason is down here in 1 and 2, you do not want to hit that bump down at the bottom right where you went across. You do not want to hit that while you've got your tires turned hard. So if you do that diamond line, you're coming off of turn 2 in a straighter fashion. It allows you to get that throttle down, and those bumps do not upset the car, and he's really carrying some momentum up there right now.
Now, this isn't a softball question here, JR. This is a genuine I don't race here a lot question. I know sometimes when we come out of, turns 2 or 4, we got to watch out for that paint. I know you got the inside wall here at 4, so you're not going to go too low. Coming out of 2, can you go down? Can you touch that yellow paint, or is it going to get you into trouble as we see a car high in the wall? Can't tell who that is, but I think we're going to get a caution. Man, that right front's gone. He's gonna just have to almost come to a stop here, JR.
Yeah, he's trying to continue on and get it back to the pits, but they have no fast repairs in this race, so his night is going to be done by the time that they would get anything on that car fixed. He would be so far down it just would not be working. So yeah, an unfortunate end early for that car.
No, and I'll tell you what, it's he's not going to get an award for it, but for driving that car back to the pits like that and getting it in there without messing up the leaders, JR, that was impressive. I can't believe a caution didn't come out. And then I can't believe he kept it down there on the flat. No banking to help him get that thing in the pits. That's a good job there by the third.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a violent hit, too, and really looked awkward. In real life, you would say, hey, he had a tire go down, but that's not the case just 23 laps in on the iRacing service. So I'm not sure if he had an actual, steering problem. But yeah, kind of weird there, but did a very nice job to not create a bigger issue as he continued around the pits.
I've been reading on the message boards that we want to blame the Windows 12 update, I think. That it is messing with wheel softwares. And I hear Ryan chuckling, but I'm actually not kidding. That happened to me the other night. It's making, for some reason, wheels want to update and reconfigure during races. So okay, there's no such thing as Windows 12. That's why he left. The new Windows 11 update then. Okay, so I am a dummy. But it is out there, and that's the story, Ryan. I'm sticking to it.
That's very much what that looked like, and I have seen drivers in the past have a similar issue when the wheel is doing something weird or just loses connection altogether. So yeah, that definitely appeared to be the issue, and I can tell you from experience, it really sucks. There's nothing you can do about it. It's basically the equivalent of having a mechanical failure in real life. It sucks. Can't do anything about it, but it's part of it.
Yeah, definitely part of the game. And Alan Wanamaker's doing pretty good at playing the game right now. He's going to be up 4 spots. If he can get this pass done on the 15, the 9-ball using the inside. But look at this battle here. Brian Neff all over the back of the Hillbilly Motorsports 33 machine. Man, that's a good-looking logo there, JR.
It is, and that's one thing that we don't touch on a lot in league races, but there are a ton of talented individuals that run in these leagues, and they have some amazing paints, amazing artwork as you get to really look at the detail on some of these cars. So a lot of talent throughout this field, not just behind the wheel.
Okay, JR, you're sitting in that 60 machine. You feel like you have the pace. What do we do? Do we enter the corners a little higher than the guy in front of us, or do we try to shoot low, get him on entry? How do we game plan this if we're trying to save tires, but at the same time move on up?
Yeah, unfortunately for Brian, the 33 there of Todd Cousins, he's kind of running the preferred groove, right? So he's running that kind of diamond side line, and he's coming off the corner straight, getting a good run. So that kind of just leaves Brian the inside line, and it's very inviting. You want to go down there, but as you get into the run in these Tour Modifieds, the front end starts to push. Those tire temperatures come up in the front tires. Car does not turn well. You want to go down there and try to make that move, but if you keep doing it lap after lap, you're going to be super slow at the end of this run. So I think Brian's going to have to be a little bit patient here, which is hard to do, especially at a place like this, but he's going to have to wait until there's an opening from the 33 that's more in that preferred racing groove.
Now, JR, I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. I mean, 300 laps. I know this is only a half-mile racetrack, but we've got to come down pit road at least once tonight, right?
Absolutely, and I kind of did some testing with the setups that they're using, and I think somewhere around 140 with some cautions, probably 150, 160, they'll have to pit. So somewhere around halfway, they'll have to at least take fuel. They're going to want tires way before that. I can assure you, around lap 100, these guys are going to be really struggling on tires.
So now that kind of, you're saying they're going to want them. So that may answer my next question here, JR. But let's say, these guys, they're spreading out. Some of the best racers we've ever seen. Let's say we get a green flag pit stop here. Are we taking tires, or is it a fuel only? Because I know these things do take a little longer to put tires on them.
Absolutely, and that is a huge point, because that could be a big strategy play if you're somewhere near the front. If you come in and just take fuel, it's going to take a long time to do it. I think you might as well take at least 2 tires, and that's something that I've not played around with to see how long it takes to fuel these things, but it does take longer than, say, a late model to fuel them. So definitely take 2 tires, but I don't know that you want to stick around for that left side set. Just because you'll make up additional time on others in the field, and that can potentially allow you to put some drivers a lap down, and you don't have to keep them a lap down the whole time, just long enough until, say, a caution comes out, and that can really cement yourself with a good, solid finish here tonight if you do that.
Daryl Weininger just worked his way past Lowell Jewell. That's a guy who good run last week, or not last week, but our last event there, week 3 at Richmond, able to bring home a top 5. Pretty good run there for the 99. He'd like to do it again. Up 6 spots, but the man he had just got around Lowell Jewell up 7 spots, and that's currently the hard charger I'm seeing. So good run for Lowell, and considering, JR, only that one caution. I mean, this is all done on the racetrack. That's unlike our boss man there. he's putting it on early.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one thing that's unique about the YesterYear Modified series is that it's compiled of multiple leagues, multiple drivers from all kinds of different leagues, and one of those is the Bootleg Racing League. And guys like Lowell Jewell have a ton of laps around this racetrack, particularly in a modified, whether it's SK or Tour. So it does play into your hands when you get into these longer races, knowing what to do with that car in order to have that performance as we get deeper into the run. And right now we're on lap 45. I know that we had an early caution, but these tires are starting to suffer, and those drivers that have taken care of it and ran the correct racing line, they're going to have the benefit.
Yeah, and our leader, Tom Ogle, he is real close to lap traffic now. He's coming up on it, and he's got Ryan Pittman not too far behind him, so he's got to be smooth here. I believe it looks like lap car going to go up high out of the way, but JR, you can think you're doing that guy a favor, as well as I do. If you race him off that corner, which you didn't just do there, when you stay beside that guy, you may think you're helping him, but boy, are you hurting him.
Yeah, and that's key. What you said is you can be helping that driver give room and give way on corner entry, but if you do not allow that driver to get past you before corner exit, that's where the driver suffers. And we saw that he definitely got out of the way of the leaders there, but that's kind of a lesson to those that are new to racing. You can definitely be trying to get out of the way of the leaders, but if you do not get out of the way before corner exit, you're really killing that driver's lap time, and could be allowing them to get passed by the guy behind.
I feel like this has been going on. What are we on? We're on lap 48. I feel like this has been going on for 48 laps, JR. Brian cannot get by that 33 of Todd Cousins, and all of a sudden we're kind of seeing the train start to form behind the 33. And there, the 93 of Chris Hazlett. He was right there on the back of the picture, but he got loose coming out of 2, able to save that egg blue machine. But man, the 60, he's looking to take a peek. He's not going to get it done.
Yeah, it's been tough, and we kind of talked about it earlier, but I've seen Neff try to make this pass on Todd multiple times and just not been able to do it. So the one thing we talked about is that inside line, it can be very good, but as we get the laps on these tires, the front tires start to get hot, they start to get slick, they do not grip the track, especially on the bottom like they did early on. So you can get to the inside of that driver, but you cannot keep the car down against that yellow line on the inside in order to make that speed and that corner exit speed that you need to make that pass. Brian Neff, Rex Hoyle, they are definitely faster, but right now that outside line is the preferred spot.
Yeah, and this is a case where, obviously you got to keep your cool, but this is where you're that 60 of Brian Neff. You remember that 33, and if he's ever a little quicker than you in weeks to come, you are going to make it as hard as you can, because you're thinking, man, it is lap 53. We've got 250 of these to go, and we are fighting this hard, man. This is fun to watch, though, JR.
Yeah, it's definitely fun to watch. It is frustrating from behind the wheel, and the one thing that Neff has to do is he has to decide which side of the track he is the best on, whether it's turns 1 and 2 or turns 3 and 4, and he has to get the run in the opposite corner. And that could mean following the line that Todd is running there on the high line, and then trying to do an over-under type move, get that momentum, get to the inside down the straightaway, and he's going to be able to make the pass right here, I think, coming off of turn 2. Barely gets it done. Looks like he gets a little squirrely, maybe a push from Todd down the backstretch.
Yeah, there was a little shot there, I think, from Cousins, but I mean, if you're Brian, you kind of doing what you got to do there. You got to go. You got the pace. You saved your stuff. It's time to roll. And now Hoyle, we saw him get those elbows out early on with a little contact. Hasn't done it again here yet. He's trying to work that bottom. And this is where, you know, I mean, the frustration starts to set in if you're Cousins, because you feel like you've got the, you know, the fastest line here, JR, but still, you maybe work the tires a little too hard and it's all gone away.
Yeah, absolutely. For him, it's going to be frustrating, but it's going to have to be kind of like a wake-up moment for him. Obviously, he's hoping that we get a caution at some point so he doesn't lose a ton of track position. But he's got to realize that something he was doing early in the run caused him to use more of that tire life, more of that tire grip up compared to his competitors. So he's going to have to kind of watch what these other drivers are doing, seeing where they're entering the corner, where they're lifting, where they're braking, where they're turning through the corner, and make those adjustments once he gets a new set of tires on that thing.
Now, you know, I brought this up to you before, but is this maybe where, because I wasn't even too sure, but you kind of nailed it for me there. These guys are dragging the brakes at least, I'd assume. And could we dial on it maybe a little more rear brake, help rotate that thing on corner entry a little bit? Because it looks like, I mean, he's driving a snowplow going into these corners right now.
Yeah, you absolutely can use the brake bias to your advantage. You got to be super careful with it. I talked about the first couple of laps on a new set of tires are really sketchy. If you have too much rear brake, you will spin that thing out touching the brakes on corner entry, but definitely you can move those brakes back to the rear of the car, and you can use that not just on corner entry but through the center of the corner, kind of using those brakes to get that car to rotate and set the way you want it before you get back on the throttle.
I really like what Brian Neff did there while we were talking. You know, Rex Oil had gotten around, he had got up to the back of him, and you know, JR, to each their own, but I always kind of tried to drive it that way. You know, if somebody got up to the back of me, was much quicker this early on, go around. Heck, I'll try to learn something from you. There's a little contact. There's the lap car, tries to get out of the way, gets up in the wall. But, man, anyways, that's, these guys are racing hard here. There's a little contact between Liston and the 33. Caution flag waves, and oh man, Liston just getting a little too hard on that pedal, and the 15 goes around after. Oh boy, parking lot on the backstretch.
Yeah, and lucky that the caution came out, because it's going to allow them not to go a lap down here. Could have very easily been a no caution, but yeah, that's just that bump through turn 2. Obviously, Todd trying to keep it down on the bottom, going to drift up slightly, but also look like Todd Cousins trying to hold him down a little bit on corner exit, just allowed the two to come together here. We'll have to get another view of it here. You see Todd, he's trying to wrap the bottom, keeping it right on that yellow line. Right where he hits that bump, his car starts to go up, but also I see the 33 starting to turn down. It's just kind of a racing incident right there with the way that this track is shaped and the way that that bump is.
65 laps is the answer. How long you can go on tires, apparently, JR, because everybody on pit road right now, they were ready to come in and get some sneakers, that's for sure here. But look who didn't come in for tires. Or did he just stay out to lead a lap? That dirty dog, the boss man, that's what he did. Stayed out there to lead a lap, because I do believe, JR, we get bonus points for leading the lap.
It's a smart play, definitely. You want to come in and, or you want to stay out, and try to get some bonus points. It's a good way to do it. If this were a shorter racetrack, you could potentially put drivers a lap down by staying out on track during a caution. It's not going to happen in a place like this, but there are multiple strategies you have to be constantly thinking about when you're in a league like this, where we do not give lucky dogs. You're not able to make that lap up unless you do it just on raw speed.
Let's go ahead. Let's bring up Brian Johnson. I think that was the Brian we said that got some fans out there tonight. Hey, Brian, Shaggy in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, hey, man, you're running middle of the pack here tonight. How are we feeling? Long way to go. You got a loud fan base out there tonight.
Thank you, sir. I'm tired, but I'm fighting this through.
Well, I mean, do we have more success on the bottom tonight, or are you feeling like, we need to go up top to get it done? Well, where's the pace in the race car at?
It's kind of weird. Go in about middle and then come out low, so just use the whole track.
Well, hey, Brian, we'll be rooting for you to work that thing on up through the field, man. Go get him.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Brian Johnson. Oh man, how he reminds me of my teammate Aiden Young. They like to make you work for it here. Getting ready to go back green, I believe.
I believe they I'm not sure why, but they extended the caution by 1 lap here, so that's why you're seeing the pace car in pit road. It will come back out and pace truck, and pick up the field here.
That's why, truthfully, I didn't realize we were going green till my producer said something. But I was watching the back of the pack, the man we were interviewing, and yes, it was a kerfuffle back there. Definitely trying to line up correctly. So I feel like that's what did it here. People pitting at different times, I think, was the big one, because JR, a lot of these asphalt guys, maybe not used to it, but I think when they came around that second time, pitted with a closed pit. I think that may have been what threw stuff off. But pace truck pulls off. The green flag is high, and Tom Ogle set to drop the hammer. We're back underway. Can anyone knock the 11 off the top seat? They haven't been able to yet. Who goes way high there? The 31 machine lap car just getting up out of the way. Randy Schuler, you don't want to get too far out of the way here. Well, I guess never mind, JR, no lucky dog. So if you're a lap down, you don't have the pace, might as well just fan out and fall to the back.
Yeah, absolutely, especially at this stage. I know we're only 70 laps in, but after that round of pit stops and the issues that kind of happened on pit road with a closed pit, see some close contact there. Oh, actually, I believe Bianchi just went into the inside wall coming off of turn 2. Caution is going to be out for that, but I believe that was Brian Bianchi there.
Yeah, Bianchi with a hard hit, and that was man, what is going on here tonight, JR?
Yeah, and one thing I was going to say, he was 2 laps down at this point. He did lose another lap. There are a lot of drivers that are only 1 lap down now, only 12 that are on the lead lap, so there's a lot to fight for if you did go a lap down here, and I think Brian was just trying to make up some time on the new tires. Unfortunately, these things are super slick in those opening laps after a restart, and he just overstepped it a little bit going across that bump in turn 2. We've talked about it a lot. And these cars do not like that bump, and it's for a couple of reasons. The tires don't have grip, but also the car is going to be riding lower on the racetrack. If you hit the bottom of this car, it's just like hitting a skid plate. You just slide across it. It gives you even less grip in the tires, and it's just, there's no catching it once it happens.
So am I looking at this correctly right now, that only the top 12 are on the lead lap? Am I seeing?
That's correct. And then from 13th place down to 21st, those drivers are 1 lap down currently.
Man, I wonder what I feel like I missed something there, JR, because I never saw Alan Wanamaker get lapped by the leader. I wonder if maybe some guys got stuck on pit road, maybe a little too long. Missed the, you were talking about guys maybe who came down pit road first. When that pace car comes around again, it'll tell you pit exit closed. Maybe some guys got stuck.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the penalty, and that's one reason, we talked about Low Joel staying out. That is one reason to potentially stay out. If you're somebody that's in the middle to back of the pack, you may stay out, because if you pit being in the back of the pack, you may not get to the end of pit road before it closes. And if it closes, it doesn't matter if the pace car is there yet or not. You have to stop, and it puts you a lap down. So it's a lot to think about in races like this, and it's not something that these drivers are used to doing, especially in a 300-lap race or in a modified. So it's new to them, but these drivers are all learning what to do and what not to do, especially when they're pitting.
Yeah, I feel like that would be new to a lot of us, honestly. It took me a while to come up with that conclusion, but, I mean, that's the only thing I can draw from the information that we've got. With the pace truck pulling off here, and Tom Ogle set to drop that hammer one more time, as he does. Lap 75 underway at the Fairgrounds, and Ryan Pittman, he's been close. He's just kind of, laying there in the waters, JR, just hanging out. Good pace. Now, if you're one of these guys, obviously, I think you want to get to the top 5, just kind of hang out. But when do we make our move? I know we're short track racing, so I want to say 50 to go, but do you need longer than that until you really start pushing?
Yeah, I think it kind of depends on the way the race plays out and whether we have really long green flag runs or we start to have some cautions. Unfortunately, you don't know how the race is going to play out. So as a driver, I'm going to say that I'm going to ride probably for the first 2/3 of this race. If I can pass somebody easily, I'm going to go do it. I'm going to try to get that track position. Otherwise, I'm just going to ride here. And that last 100 laps, that's when I'm going to try to get myself set up to get the best finishing position I can. If I can go chase that lead, I'm going to start to go do it at that point.
See Chris Hazlip taking that Robin egg machine, diving it low here. What kind of run can he get off of 2? Side by side there, as you see Weininger coming in. He wants a little taste. Hazlip's going to clear him. Now Weininger next here. He might get him here in 1 and 2, looking pretty good. 34, that 31. He's a lap down, JR. Not putting up too big of a fight here.
No, definitely not. But the 31 is the first car, was the first car 1 lap down. He just got passed by Steve Hilbert, and that's something he's got to watch for as you're letting other drivers go by. You've got to be thinking, who am I racing? Because you are still in a race. And we do have multiple drivers in that 1 lap down position. So even though there's no lucky dog, you still want to be the highest running car out of those 1 lap cars, or 1 lap down cars.
Yeah, and JR, I know it's not the game you want to be playing, but if you are Steve Hilbert, Randy Schuler, if we get a caution in, let's say, 20 or 30 laps, obviously leaders, they're not going to pit. Do you come down pit road and maybe you hope that next caution, if we get a long run, the leaders pit, you stay out there and you get the wave around, and maybe you get lucky? I mean, you have to start playing some game if you're one of those guys, don't you?
Yeah, I definitely think you need to, and I kind of looked into that as far as the wave rounds because that was my first thought too. But because we're doing the rules back in 1966, if you stay out, even if you're that car that would traditionally be the wave around car, you're going to be stuck there. So you're just going to be starting in front of the leaders, which means you've got to hold them off. It's a strategy play for sure, and you might get a caution immediately and allows you to get that lap back. But it's something these drivers have to think about. If they feel like they can, hold pace with the leaders or hold the leaders off for a few laps, you definitely want to try that.
Yeah, the man we just talked to, that 27 of Brian Johnson, working to the inside here. That's for position. Him and Tom Hilbert are both a lap down, so that'll move Brian up into the 16th spot. Still been slugging away. He's one of those guys that, while we were interviewing him, definitely makes sense because I could see him coming to a stop. It is all piecing together. Those guys definitely got trapped behind the pace truck. And man, that is a shame, but we've got a battle heating up for Scott Negus. There, he has reeled these front guys in, and he was one that started to come to play there at the end, had a quick car at the end of that long green flag run. And JR, we know he's somebody who's used to running 100 laps, 1 set of tires.
Yeah, absolutely. He knows how to move around and find that grip as the tires start to wear out, especially on the short track side. And the one thing that I'm seeing, Ryan Pittman there in second place, he's trying to move around and run wherever Tom Ogle is not, and that's what you need to do if you're trying to make a pass or set up a pass. But unfortunately for Ryan, like you said, he's got Scott Negus right behind him, so that gives Scott the freedom to run in the preferred racing groove and try to set up that pass, and I think that's why he really closed in there. I think Ryan kind of picked up on that and tried to change his line a little bit, but it does put that driver at risk who's trying to set up a pass if there's a car right behind him.
Now, obviously, pros and cons to everything here, but what is the pro here for Ryan if you're going to enter the corner? Well, now he enters a half a lane higher, but he had been entering lower. What's he trying to do? Are you trying to gain time on entry when you enter lower, or are you trying to pick up the throttle earlier on exit? What's kind of that game plan, JR?
Yeah, at a track like Nashville here, the idea is that the low line really gains you a lot of time on entry. You're going to lose it on corner exit because you're really having to hold the car down, especially in turn 2. But you can gain time on corner entry. But the other thing is, and I know we don't typically talk about it with modifieds in general, but the downforce does start to come into play as you get laps on these tires and they get hot and slick and start moving around. If you continue to run directly behind that driver in front of you, you're going to lose just a little bit of downforce, the force that pushes down on that nose and keeps it planted in the corner. And your car is going to go away. So if Ryan were to continue to do that lap after lap, he will start to fall back from Tom Ogle, and that's one reason why he's looking to the inside in the corner slightly, trying to keep some downforce or some air pushing on that left front section of the car, but also trying to keep his tires just a little bit cooler because he's got them out of the path of Tom Ogle.
Yeah, definitely trying to keep those temps cooler. And, you were talking about you start to lose that downforce. Well, then that's when the tires start to slide a little bit because, as JR said, you don't have that pressure pushing down on the car. You lose that grip. And when you start sliding, you've heard JR and I talk about it hundreds of times, tire temps. And that is what's most important in these things. So you've got to take it easier. You got to keep it cool. And you can't work that race car any harder than it'll allow you. This isn't maybe like a NASCAR car or something, JR, where you can maybe go try to milk something out of it. You've got to pretty much let the car drive itself here. You're along for the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these things have a lot of horsepower. They don't handle amazing as you get long into the run. You really have to change your line around in order to find that grip. And that's where you really start to see the drivers who are not driving correctly. That's where it starts to show up, is in that longer run. Because drivers will typically, as they start to lose that front end grip, they will want to put more wheel into it. It's just something natural that you want to do. If the car's not turning, you want to turn that wheel more. But as you do that, it continues to wear those front tires, continues to get them hotter and hotter, and eventually you're going to slip on corner exit of one of these corners. And we got a caution out on the Speedway. I haven't said that. And Bruce he was down on the inside wall on the exit of turn 2, but I don't see major damage. Not sure what happened.
I don't either. He just gets loose here in the middle of 1 and 2. It doesn't look like there's any contact made, and maybe, man, that is weird. Hopefully everything's cool. We've seen a lot of guys just pull off there to the inside, but then as soon as the caution comes out, he drives away, and maybe you want a caution there after a hiccup, JR, but in the long run, he's a lap down. That's almost all she wrote there for the double deuce.
Yeah, and that definitely wasn't just wanting to bring out a caution, because after that issue happened, he went down and actually smacked the inside wall, so it's probably going to knock his toe out on that left front a little bit. The car's not going to handle as well, but yeah, definitely had something weird. It kind of looked like he got loose, but at the same time kind of looked like he didn't have full control of the car, even though he was going slow. So I'm not sure if that's another little gremlin or bug that's popping up on the wheel side of things. If it is, that's something that these drivers are going to have in their mind moving forward throughout this race. Is that going to happen to me?
2 guys on the lead lap stayed out here. Ryan Pittman and Chris Hazlett. Let's get a word here with the Lipper, Chris Hazlett. Let's see what's going through the driver of the 93's head here. I'll go first here, JR. You hit him next. Hey, Lipper, man, Shaggy up here. You got a copy?
I got you, Shaggy. How you tonight, buddy?
Dude, not as good as you, man. I like what you did there. You boys are used to running 100 laps on this set of sneakers. You weren't out there a long time. Now you're sitting P2. How do we like where we're at, Chris?
I feel good about it. I really didn't push my tires hard, and car feels great. It's a long way to go, 200 laps, I think, so no sense yet. Just kind of riding it out for a while and saving some time.
Hey, Chris, first off, great job staying on the lead lap, because that's a big, big deal here tonight so far. But I got to ask you, as the tires start to get hot and wear out, are you really having to move around and find a different groove to race in?
Yeah, actually, JR, I've kind of moved up about the second groove, and but it, to be honest, they're holding up pretty well.
Well, hey, Chris, man, you're up there. Hopefully we're talking to you at the end. Go make a move, Lipper. We're rooting for you.
Long way to go, Shaggy, but appreciate it, buddy.
He's exactly right. Long way to go, but I think, parking yourself in the top 5 when we've been seeing these cautions come out here as of late, I think in a good spot here. Try to keep the mess behind you as the pace truck gets ready to pull off. You see the double deuce, Bruce Pearson there lined up second. He is a lap car. So that car lined up in the middle there. Lapper, Bruce, this is where if he thinks he's got pace, may want to go race to try to get that lap back, JR.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're in that position, go get it. And that's exactly what I think Bruce is going to try to do. And Bruce is somebody that has pace, has speed when it comes to modified racing, and a lot of experience around this track. So he may not show up immediately here, but if he can stay that second car in line, he's got a shot to go up there and get his lap back.
Yeah, and very interesting to see, Ryan. Snap on Tom Ogle real quick so the guys can see the camera flop. That's P3. All those cars in between are laps down, and, you know, Tom, he's going to try to work here. Oh, and a caution flag waves. Man, Bruce is wishing he could have got around. That's what he wanted there. But caution flag waves. Haven't seen who yet. Possibly Lloyd Moore. Yeah, definitely Lloyd Moore. You see a little contact there with Lowell Jewell. Then Lowell comes up going down the backstretch. Couldn't tell who he made contact with, but 3-4 cars involved in that, JR.
Yeah, unfortunately, Jeffrey Harden, he's been a contender in this series. He got involved in that too. And what I see there, it was kind of hard to see from the other view, but as Lowell got hit, it kind of put him down on the very bottom of turn 2, and we talk about it a lot. But he kind of hit that bump, so naturally the car drifts up, and at the same point, because he was kind of thrown down there, he doesn't know exactly where that car is that was on the outside. I believe that's Tom Hilbert, and we also see Tom's kind of coming down the track slightly too. The two just come together, and that's going to get Low Jewel, and not Tom. I think that was Steve Hilbert, and yeah, Jeffrey Harden got collected in it too. So we'll have to pay attention here, see if he's able to get back out on track at some point. But that's probably going to be an end to all three of those drivers now.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. I didn't notice Hilbert kind of coming down the racetrack at the same time as Lowell's coming up, and. Well, you know, guys fighting for real estate here, short track racing, that's going to happen. Ryan Pittman still leading the way here, and Tom Ogle a little bit back there. Let's, we'll wait here. We'll wait. I don't want to pull anybody up. I think we're going to go back green next time. There's a guy I haven't talked to, Ken Allen before, I don't believe. So we'll pull Ken up next. The driver with the 81. He's had a pretty good run tonight. Right now, looking at who would be our hard charger. Sadly, the boss man, he had a good run going. He was still in the lead lap. Not him any longer. Now it's the 99 of Daryl Weininger. Pretty good run there. And, you know, this is almost two races. Well, it is 2 races in a row now. That 99, he is just hung out middle of the pack. And as the field starts to dwindle, he is just watching that number climb.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a race where you're just really going to have to grind all night long. You're going to have to be there at the end. It means staying on the lead lap. There's a lot of things you've got to do to stay on the lead lap, but you've just got to keep pushing all night long to keep that car there.
Well, the pace truck pulls off, and Ryan Pittman set to drop the hammer. Lap 109 is underway. Still a lot of time to play here at the Fairgrounds. So far, man, people running out of lives here, and you know, JR, eventually we are going to get to that point where you know, you're just kind of running out of bodies for cautions. So if you want to get your moves done, you're going to have to make them quick.
Absolutely, you're going to have to, and this is where we may see some strategy come into play, because as we get fewer cars on the lead lap and just fewer cars in the entire race, that's going to probably mean more green flag runs, longer green flag runs, and green flag racing. And we have a couple of drivers on the different strategy. The two right now are Ryan Pittman and Chris Hazlip. They fitted about 30 laps roughly, different than the rest of these drivers have. So they've got about 30 laps less fuel. Obviously, everybody's got to pit again in order to make it through the end of this race, but that could come into play if a caution comes out at a weird time.
Really interesting to see there. Your point leader, Todd Liston, he just taking it easy. He's seen the gloves come off here. He let those guys go by. Just gonna work it around, and you know, that strategy, it's paid off so far for him. Hasn't got the win yet, but has consistently finished up in that top 5, top 10, and the 87 looking to do it one more time here at the Fairgrounds.
Yeah, and Todd's really smart, especially in races like this, but the big thing that he knows is that there's only 10 cars on the lead lap. So if he's already back toward that position on the racetrack, might as well just go back in 10th and hang out. As long as you're staying on the lead lap, you're in contention for the end of this race.
So not too much quicker here, JR, with that, I want to say, 20-some lap tire advantage. Right now, Tom Ogle last time by ran a 17.14. Hazlip 17.27. And actually this time by Ogle with a 17.25 and Hazlip with a 2.7 again. So Ogle not seeing a huge payoff with that new set of sneakers. The Lipper did a good job saving.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's where at a place like this, especially as the tires start to wear, track position means so much. And I think Ryan Pittman realized that and knew that that was his opportunity. Get off strategy a little bit by about 35 laps, but that was his opportunity to get out front, and obviously paying off for Chris Hazlip as well, because he's able to run right there with these guys.
Yeah, definitely going to pay off right now, but, I want to play devil's advocate here, JR. I mentioned, we're running out of bodies for these cautions. What happens if you get yourself caught out there and you got to make a green flag pit stop while the rest of the leaders can maybe stay out there and hope for another caution in the next 30 or so laps?
Yeah, and the big thing about that is making a green flag pit stop, as you mentioned. I don't think many of these drivers have practiced at all making a green flag pit stop, but especially not here at the Nashville Fairgrounds. And if you notice, when we get back over to turn 3, this is a super tricky pit road entrance. It's hard to make under caution because it's just a blind entrance. It's at the very bottom of the track, and you have to turn in early, and you have to be going very slow. So that means slowing down on the backstretch, and these drivers are probably going to have difficulty doing that. So if we get to see some green flag pit stops, there's going to be a lot of action. Maybe one of those deals where you just say, hey, I'm going to stay out as long as I can in case somebody runs into that pit entrance and we bring out a caution.
Yeah, and that's honestly why I was so impressed earlier, the 60 of Gavin Adams, when he had that broken right front, how he was able to maneuver it into the pits. Because like you said, JR, I think I have trouble getting in the pits under caution, but Tom Ogle gets the pass done for P2. The Lipper, he's been there, done that. Not going to put up the fight here. He wants to save that tread. He knows maybe, he may have brought a knife to this gunfight, so he's got to keep what he's got left.
Yeah, absolutely, and just be smart at this phase of the race. We're not even halfway. He's on the lead lap, and not only is he on the lead lap, he's toward the first half of being on the lead lap. So he's in a great position. He doesn't need to race anybody. Just take care of what he's got left in those tires, get it to this next pit stop.
Yeah, Ken Allen working on him here. Going to try to get the run off of 4. Not going to be able to do it just yet. Going to take one more peek, though, here in 1 and 2. And I got a feeling Chris not going to put up a big fight. He doesn't. Just going to let him kind of take it over here. But this is where Chris is doing a good job. You can't act like you're a lap car, JR. You can't just lift that thing and get out of the way. You're going to get run over. And doing a good job here, just maintaining and making them work for it when they go around. Use up their tires a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. He's racing, but the one thing I do like that he's doing is that he's not racing super hard, meaning he's not trying to pinch that driver down on the inside. He is giving the drivers room. He's giving them opportunities to make that pass, but he's making sure he's not putting himself in a vulnerable position to where he will get wrecked or in a bad spot here. He wants to make sure that he maintains that position on the lead lap without damage.
Oh, and there you saw almost a little bit of contact there as Weininger comes up across going into 3, but Hazlip backs out, and they live to fight another day. But Darrell, that was a big swing there through 1 and 2. He really used them up. He was able to get the pass done quick, and now he's got his eyes set on that 54. But man, that 99, JR, he looks quick, but I'm a little worried. He is really rotating that thing in the center of the corner. It seems like he's climbing up the hill. He is driving it in deep in that 99.
Yeah, and that can pay off. In the early portion of the run, for sure, you can get a lot of momentum on corner entry, get that car rotated, and give you more of a straight line exit, which helps in these cars. But you have to do it correctly. You cannot put a lot of wheel into it. You cannot enter that corner with too much speed. If you do, the tires are going to wear out. And a lot of what he's doing there, I think, is because he's trying to get closer and set up a pass on Rex Hoyle. Just not quite there yet. You just can't keep doing it lap after lap. You're going to have to be smart there. As we see, contact there. And Brian Neff goes to the inside. He also gets Todd Liston there.
Yeah, the point leader, Todd Liston, involved. He's able to straighten it out here. I'm anxious to see the damage. It's very important for the 87 here, JR. You know that as well as I do. Straighten that thing out so quick. Able to get out in front of that pace truck, I think. That could have been bad news for the 87.
Yeah, Todd was very aware of that and got it back going. I don't think he's going to have any major damage. He did get turned. He kept it stopped before he really got into the wall hard. He kind of hit it solid. We'll have to see how his tires are tracking here as far as suspension damage, but I think he's going to be able to continue. But Brian Neff, I think, has definitely got some suspension damage. and obviously a couple of other cars involved in the aftermath there.
That's a tough break there. That 33, he had such a good run going. That was a pretty hard shot. You got to think he's going to have some significant damage there. You know, even if you do get out, there's no way that handles the way it came off the trailer. And Todd Liston, I noticed he was going to come down pit road, but he couldn't. He had to let the field by, so you see he's the leader. He's going to come down pit road this time. And that left front, that don't look that good, JR.
No, yeah, looking at it from that angle, it definitely doesn't. I think he can continue. He's probably going to have the wheel, several degrees off of being straight. And obviously the car is going to handle differently, probably going to have a bit of a push in it through the corners. But if he can keep this thing rolling, like you said, came in here the points leader, he wants to get every single point he can. Even if he goes lap down, 2 laps down, he wants to keep going, because right now, if you can stay just 1 lap down, you're going to finish in the top 18 tonight.
Yeah, and with the night Bianchi had, I mean, he may not know that if he doesn't have the standings on. I'm sure he does. But he's just got to find a way to slug out any points he can. And anxious to see, where is Todd? He pulled off pit road. He not going to repair all that damage, I don't think, JR. Staying on the lead lap a little more important, he thinks. So, see, he's going to go for a full speed run here through 3 and 4. Definitely pushes up the hill a little bit, but he'll be able to nurse that thing around.
Yeah, and, the big thing is, just trying to stay on that lead lap. That's what he's doing. Obviously, he knows his car is going to be a little bit damaged, but he stayed on the lead lap under this caution. That means it's going to take several laps for the leader to actually catch him. So this gives him a fighting chance there. That's what he had to do.
And now we've got the front 2, really the front 3 tied back up here as the green flag drops. We're back underway. 135. You got, well, actually, we're back to it. Top 6 there, all in line, all on the lead lap that you see on your screen. I think that one shuffled them out. The guys like Bruce Pearson, who were trying to get their lead back, realized he needed tires, just wasn't going to get it done. They come down for pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. And the play that those drivers like Bruce Pearson are going to have now is they've got extra fuel on board. They have tires. They could potentially go the rest of the way if they get some cautions to help them. But the big thing is that they're going to be able to stay out if we get a green flag pit stop cycle here late in the race. They'll be able to stay out and potentially grab that caution after they've gotten their lap back, and that could be huge for them. So this gives them an opportunity. And
we are down to now, after that last one, 8 cars on the lead lap, and the last one being Todd Liston, definitely way off the pace. So he's going to need another caution here to try to repair that thing. And boy, it looked like Ken Allen was maybe going to give it to us. He hit that bump pretty hard coming out of 2. He is searching for speed.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something I've seen in other leagues with Ken Allen. He will move around. He does not. He always has speed. Always has good finishing, positions in the race. But he's not a driver that always shows up immediately. He's a driver that searches around, finds what works, what doesn't work, and he makes adjustments. And you're seeing it on this restart. He's making those adjustments, and absolutely, he's after it right now because he wants to go try to have a shot at passing Tom Ogle.
But yeah, and let's just, call a spade here, JR. A driver of your caliber, you do a lot of short track racing. And I'm sure, you'd admit you maybe don't put into practice. You need to, just because you kind of know what you're doing in it. And, maybe sometimes when you get into a longer race, once you get around that 3rd mark, man, the feeling really starts coming back to you. And you find that speed that you always had.
Absolutely. That's a great point. A lot of drivers that have a lot of experience out on this on their iRacing service do not put a lot of practice time in, and it's one of those things where it's a long race, obviously 300 laps. Either you're going to be able to figure it out or you're not, and as this race goes on, he could be a driver that's just starting to figure it out. Right now, he's got Scott Negus looking to the inside of him. It's going to be a tough pass to make, but Negus has got some momentum coming out too.
Yeah, very surprising. It looked like he was going to give it away to Negus there, and there we kind of saw him drive up the hill a little bit in 3. Maybe almost thinking about setting up a crossover there for a second. He maybe, going to store that one in the memory bank. That one, I think, may have worked, JR, if he wanted to force it.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what you're going to be learning throughout the whole race. You gotta see what works and what doesn't, and you've got to understand, hey, late in the race, can I make this work? And you're putting yourself in positions throughout this race where you're getting ideas of what to do, and like you said, when you find something, you've got to put it in your memory bank for later on because it may come into play in the closing laps.
In that 54, go to work on Ken Allen. He's trying to set him up. He watched Liston get it done. Can he do the same? You see the 54 backing up corner entry here, really gaining center off. And this is where, JR kind of talked about you maybe give away one corner to try your running 1 and 2. And that's where the 54 is good. But, you see that lap car. And that was exactly what we talked about, JR. Lap car on the high side coming out of the corner. That's a uh-oh.
It is, and sometimes there's just no way you can get out of the way of those faster cars. But when that happens, you see the faster cars struggle because they cannot carry that speed off the corner. They cannot let that car drift all the way out against the wall. That costs you speed, and in return, a lot of times we see the driver behind make a pass. Didn't happen here, but yeah, absolutely. Rex Hoyle was under fire there.
Well, no, yeah, perfect example because, Brian Johnson, excellent job there getting out of the way. He got out of the way of 3 of the 4, but what can you do when the line's that long? Somebody's going to come up on you when you're coming up out of the corner, and all you can do is just hold that wheel straight and plant it, and that's exactly what those guys have done. Haven't really seen any incidents at all because of lap cars. It's been a good, clean race. Just, I think pretty much, JR, all these wrecks have been guys in the lead lap just getting pretty aggressive here, hitting bumps. It's been clean other than that.
Yeah, it's been a fairly clean race, and like you said, it's usually when you get a couple of guys that have been racing around each other for many laps, 40, 50, 60 laps, and you start to get a little frustrated because you're faster than that driver in front, but you can't find a way by. When you finally get a little bit of an open door of opportunity, you try to force the issue, and that's when a lot of times that contact is made, and that's the type of wrecks or incidences that we've seen here tonight so far.
I missed that halfway point by 2 laps. Shame on me. 148 to go here. And, from what our man JR said, maybe 160 with a couple cautions, but we haven't had a caution, and those guys who pit, that would have been, I want to say, 170-some laps. Ryan pulling that up for me, but I'm still too dumb to do the math on the fly. So we're going to have to pit one more time here, JR, if this stays green. And this is where I think, your 2-tire stop that you talked about with you needing, or maybe you just a splash and go, no tires at all.
Yeah, I think we're at the point. A lot of these guys pitted last time around that lap 131 mark. Gives you about 169 laps to go. We see some guys struggling getting into the outside wall off of 2, but gives you about 169 to go. I think these drivers can go around 140 to 150. There is the potential that you could save that amount of laps. Over the rest of this run, you could save the fuel that you need to get the rest of this race in, but these drivers have got to be thinking about that right now. You've got to be lifting early on these straightaways, letting the car rotate throughout the corners. If you do that, you could potentially win this race on fuel mileage.
And there you see the point leader there. If he just went a lap down, so we are down to 7 guys on the lead lap. Liston trying to put up that fight, and Negus almost makes a little contact with him coming off before, but Liston just doing what he can in that 87. It's kind of where this is when it gets tough, JR. You know it when you're driving that 87, but you got to remember that points battle, and you got to realize that's the reason to stay out there and keep fighting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's tough. You do not want to be out there after one of those accidents. You want to just go and call it a night, but if you're racing for the points, which Todd most definitely is, you want to get all the laps in the best position you possibly can. Unfortunately, he's going a lap down, so I don't think that's ever going to be an option to get back on the lead lap. But like you said, he could potentially finish 8th place right now because that's the first car lap down. If he stays just 1 lap down, worst he can finish right now would be 14th, and that can be a big moment in the championship because a lot about winning championships is not the great finishes you have, it's the finishes you make out of a bad night, and he's trying to make that tonight.
Yeah, Soup says consistency. That's how he uses that word. And even when you're having a a bad one. Liston finds a way to turn it into a top 15 to make it look not so bad, and that's exactly what he's got to do tonight. But Tom Ogle, man, this guy, he lost the lead there for about half a stint due to pit strategy, but this guy, he's doing his thing here at Nashville. This is really impressive. You know, I've always, it reminds me of you a little bit, JR. How do you get that far out front and you just don't drive the tires off? That thing is beyond me. You know, you don't have that guy to base yourself off of. I was never a first place driver when I drive. I'm second, sometimes maybe 10th.
Yeah, it's not easy. So I know it looks easy. He's just out front. He's got a gap, not any pressure from behind at the moment. So it looks super easy, but it's not easy to do. You've got to be very controlled with what you're doing with the car. Ultimately, I always like to get out to about a half-second lead, maybe a second, somewhere between that half-second and second lead, and then just ride. And what you're working on when you're out front is just how you're entering the corner. You're going to start lifting a little bit earlier, letting that car get into the corner easier. You're going to be turning that wheel just a little bit less. And you're talking about just a couple of degrees less to not fight those tires. And you're going to make sure that you don't get back on the throttle before that car is ready to come off the corner in a straighter fashion. You don't want that car to just push up toward that outside wall lap after lap. That overheats that right front, and eventually you start to get a push loose condition, which is not going to help you. So you just got to be very, very mindful of what you're doing behind the wheel, and just keep doing it lap after lap. And in a lot of cases, I think we're starting to see it now, you'll actually see that gap open up while you're doing those things.
Yeah, it really is crazy, but all that goes away, JR, and you got to think, caution flag here, 132 to go. Absolutely every car is going to hit pit road as we see that 32 rolling around slow. We'll have to go back and take a look at what happened here. You see the lipper behind him. Just goes in there, clips that apron, gets on the paint.
Yeah, not something you want to do in any of the modifieds. Just mainly because it bottoms out the bottom of the car. There's just no grip at that point. All the pressure comes off the tires themselves, and it just comes around like you're hitting oil or your own ice. So, yeah, it's just one of those things. Trying to stay out of the way there and just got a little bit too low.
This is going to be important here. I would imagine all the guys going to take 4 tires. But who wins the race off pit road? Well, Scott Negus. He wins that race here, JR.
Yeah, I was trying to see a little bit of what Scott did there. Obviously, track position's huge. If you don't have to pass drivers, you have the opportunity to take care of those tires a little bit better. He may have just done a 2-tire stop there. Obviously, we didn't need that much fuel because these drivers just pitted back on lap 131, I believe, so they already had almost a full tank in there. So, yeah, if you only took right side tires, you could do what we saw Scott do right there.
He did. You're exactly right. Ken Allen is the only driver in the top 5 I'm seeing with a full 22-second pit stop. The other guys are at 13 seconds. So that's telling me 2 tires.
Yeah, so that's going to be a big move, and we've seen Scott have speed. So this is not going to be something easy for Tom to try to make a pass. But the good news is that he's got 130 laps left. Going to be a little bit less once we go green, but that's a lot of time to kind of work the car and get the tires where you kind of need them or want them to be in the long run, and set up a pass. But this ultimately gives Scott Negus a big opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, not that he's doing that, but I am a little shocked here with Tom Ogle. You know, he only takes 2 tires. He still loses the lead. So, you know, you're kind of in that camp, I think, JR, where you've had the quickest race car all night. Put 4 tires on it and go get them. But I'm going to go with the 2-tire stop here. And it arguably did it for track position, and it's still going to cost him a spot. That's tough.
Yeah, it's definitely tough because that's my thoughts when I come in at this point. We know that it wasn't that long ago when we last pitted. Might as well just put 2 tires on and get that track position. But when you do that and then you lose the track position, that's tough. That kind of makes you rethink what you did there. Obviously, Scott was just able to get in and out of his box better, and a lot of it's positioning, a lot of it's just carrying that speed in. You're talking about just a few mile-an-hour extra as you're coming to a stop in your pit box. Can make a big difference. So Yeah, that's going to be tough for Tom for sure. The one thing I don't know as we're getting ready to go green is the last time that some of these drivers took left side tires. So these cars could handle quite different than what they have the entire race if they still have old left side tires on.
Ogle left a big gap there as we're back underway. The front three kind of in their own zone. As you see Alan Wanamaker, he's the fourth car in line. He is a lap down. This means that the front three, they got some distance here. Ken Allen a little ways back. He is the guy with 4 fresh tires rather than the 2 fresh tires for the 3 in front of him. But that's a long ways to make up here. I mean, that's about a second on the racetrack.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of time to make up, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here. Obviously, all of these drivers can make it to the end of the race. We've got the fuel. It is a big ask on 125 laps to take care of those tires and still have speed at the end of the run, but they can definitely make it to the end of this race. But I think you're going to see some of these drivers be a little bit easier on the beginning laps of this run because they know that ultimately, like you said earlier, we're getting that car count down. We're probably going to have a green flag run potentially all the way to the end of this race. Got to make sure you got something to work with at the end there, and that's why I don't think we're seeing a whole lot of side-by-side racing right now. Guys are just going, I'm in conservative mode right now, so I've got something at the end.
And, something we need to maybe think about, too, only 7 guys on the lead lap, so you automatically assume, hey, if we get another caution in, let's say, 40, 50 laps, we're going to come down, we're going to get tires. Well, not necessarily, because you see how all those lap cars are lined up in between. If you shoot down pit road and 2 guys stay out, JR, and you got 10 cars in between you and the rest of the guys on the lead lap, yeah, you got new tires, but, I mean, what's that going to do in a 40-lap shootout? So these single-file restarts, they've got to be weighing on the drivers.
Yeah, that's a great point. We talked about it before we came on air here a little bit, and it's something that we tend to forget about in this series. Obviously, these drivers have unlimited sets of tires, so you would think when that caution comes out, you want to hit pit road, get some fresh rubber on there so you can turn some fast laps. But if you get some lap down cars staying out, you do not get to pass those lap down cars before you go green. You have to start behind them, and even if they lit you by throughout the race, it's going to cost you time. You're not going to be able to immediately get up there with those guys you were racing with before you pitted. So that is a big deal and something that these drivers have to think about if we get another caution later here.
Ryan Pittman, you see him working. He took 4 tires as well with Ken Allen. He's working on the inside of 2 tires with the lipper. Doing a pretty good job there. Saw the writing on the wall. Enters way high there. Let him have it. I think Chris just happy to be on the lead lap knowing that maybe we still got some fireworks left in the shed.
Yeah, and that's the biggest battle in this race. We've talked about it on and off throughout the broadcast, but if you stay on the lead lap, you could have a fantastic finish here tonight, and that's what Chris has done. Right now, the worst he can finish is 7th place, and I don't think he's at any risk of going a lap down under race conditions. So he is in a great spot, just needs to continue to keep it clean, and that's what it's about. In these long races, these long championship seasons like we have here, it's about getting the best finish possible, and sometimes that means just taking care of your stuff and staying out of the way of the other drivers.
Yeah, and those guys, they're the ones that should scare you. The ones that just hang around are sneaky fast, and they can drive, cautious and still hang around that front group. And Chris has done an excellent job. You see Tom Ogle, though, still stuck in line. Maybe feeling that effects that he was giving off a little less downforce, and he's trying to peek to the inside, but Negus surely showing him, hey, Tom, if you're going to do this, you're going to do it on the left side.
Yeah, he definitely is. I have seen a few laps where I felt like Negus got a little too high on corner exit, and that's going to cause you to put a little more wheel into it. It looks like he's got it calmed back down right now, but there's a few times on the exit of turn 4 where he got extremely wide and really had to turn that car back down the hill. If he kept doing that, which Tom's smart enough to spot that, and you see how that lap car comes into play there, the 2nd, 3rd place drivers having to kind of snake down the backstretch, kind of gets them out of shape. But I think Tom was ultimately seeing what Scott was doing there and said, hey, I'm not even going to push the issue right now, because the one thing you don't want to do is you see a driver pushing really high on corner exit, you don't want to be directly behind that driver if he ever slips up and hits that outside wall, because there's very little you can do to avoid him. You're going to run right into the back of him, and it could potentially end your night. Tom's smart enough to see that, and I think he's just kind of pacing himself right now.
Yeah, I think that's where if you're driving that 13, I think you're smiling, knowing you already won the battle when you see the guy in front of you driving that hard with 111 laps to go. He's still going to have to find a way around, even if Negus does lose rubber. And, I mean, you see that 54 of Rex Oil, he's right there, too. So, one mistake, and it could cost Ogle, and it could really cost Negus here, as he's got the most to lose.
Yeah, and the one thing I can say about Rex Hoyle that I've watched in the past year is he's very good at running a defined line around the racetrack and putting his car exactly where he needs it to be, and doing it in a way that takes care of those tires. We keep talking about that, but he runs a very defined line and doesn't alter from that very often, and that's why you see him up front toward the end of modified races, because he's just taking care of his stuff. He's only worried about himself. He's not really racing anybody until we get into the closing laps.
So I'm trying to take a look here at the points, and we'll note we didn't have a Jeffrey Harden tonight, I don't believe. No Jeffrey Harden. Brian having okay, we did have Jeffrey Harden. He just must have had a rough night. I don't see him on the top 22. I was cheating, but it looks like right now Ken Allen, he came in tonight 4th place. He's got a lot to gain here if he could just keep this thing inside the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. He could have a big night. We know that Todd Liston has had some issues. He's still out there 1 lap down, but in 14th spot. So he's doing the best he can to kind of maintain any kind of point lead. But absolutely, Ken Allen, he was up 3 spots during the last race from the point standings, and he's looking to continue that run toward the front here, because right now the 3 drivers ahead of him in points, he's ahead of those drivers, and not by just a few spots. So it's going to be a great night for him if he can maintain that.
Shame on me. I've got some bad hobbies. My memory goes away from me, JR. Of course, Jeffrey was here. He was involved in that accident with the boss man. It's all coming back to me now. That's a tough break. That was a rough one for PRL members. I believe Hilbert was involved in that one. That was not one where you wanted to be a BRL driver going down that backstretch. But Negus gets a little loose. You see what I'm seeing, JR?
Yeah, I definitely am, and I think it's starting to show up, and Tom has seen that, and it's to the point right now where Tom feels like he can start to attack. He feels like just one small mistake. You see right there, the 29's really pushing wide on corner exit right now. Tom's going to try to take advantage of that, and that's why he's trying to do this over-under to try to get a run off of turn 2. He's almost there, but just wasn't quite able to carry that speed to the inside.
Man, it's amazing to watch him backing up those corners and really pulling on the rope coming off, and it is making Negus lose that rear end. You can see maybe he won't admit it to us, I bet, but maybe watching that mirror a little bit, changing his lineup. He knows he's got to do something different because, man, it's starting to get hot out here. 100
Yeah, it absolutely is. It's starting to pick up, and we've saw Negus actually get into the outside wall coming onto the front stretch there a little bit. That's going to allow Tom Ogle to get to the inside. He's going to try to push up. They almost make contact. They keep it going right now, but yeah, Negus is starting to struggle. He kind of changed his lineup, started running the bottom of the track. I believe that hurt him more than anything, so now he's back up on the top side. He's going to try to hold Tom off here.
Yeah, and this is where, you just can't overdrive there. And Tom maybe overdrives a little bit, knew that, had to back it up and recover here. He was in a prime spot for that pass, maybe just zoned out a little bit there. And now he's got to go back to work. But all this while Kenny Allen, P4, you see him reeling those guys in, JR. He's got the freshest rubber of them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And he doesn't have anything that he really needs to do here but ride. He can just kind of enjoy what's going on and see these drivers fighting. I see Tom get the apron there. He gets sideways up off the corner. It's going to allow Rex Hoyle to almost get to his outside, but they single file back up because they see that lap car up ahead.
Man, Rex Hoyle got to the back of Tom Ogle in the middle of 3 and 4. Tom was able to save it, but that was a pretty good shove there. That was a close call, and it's allowed Negus to just kind of relax a little bit here. He can catch his breath and hopefully regain those tire temps because he was clearly sliding, trying to drive the heck out of that thing.
Yeah, he absolutely was, and as you mentioned that, I was kind of watching Negus, and he went back to running a very nice line. He's not pushing up on corner exit, so he is doing what he needs to do to kind of get those tires back into that sweet spot, that sweet temperature range, to where he has some additional grip. But I do ultimately believe that Tom Ogle and even Rex Hoyle and Ken Allen, they appear to have more speed than our leader right now. It's just been so hard to pass tonight. So if Negus can keep things under control, he's going to make it super difficult for those drivers behind.
Now, I'm definitely not saying Tom is not the fastest out of the group, but I think it goes back to exactly what you just said there. I think that may be Negus's best friend, JR, because all those guys are fast, and the guy sitting in fourth has the freshest rubber. So Ogle, as much as he wants to make the move, he can only make it when he's not going to lose 2 or 3 spots doing it. So he's kind of tiptoeing out there. You're not going to get the same Ogle as if maybe it was just a 2-car battle.
Yeah, exactly right. And as we talk about that, we see Ryan Pittman back there starting to close in on these front 4 drivers. And Pittman's another guy that definitely took 4 tires during that stop. He had that longer pit time. So he's got fresh rubber too, and we saw the kind of speed that he had early on in this race, so he could definitely start to come into play here.
Yeah, and the pay window, it's open. We're in that final third here, 90 laps to go, and he gets with a good pace. But Tom Ogle, you see, that's the man we're watching. He's been the guy here tonight, and if not for maybe a slow pit stop, would still be out front. And man, if Negus could win this, just basically off pit strategy, JR, what a steal. Because, this is no shot. I think he'd admit it to us. Clearly not the fastest guy on the track.
Right, and, that's how these races come down sometimes. When you get a lot of pit stops involved, pit stop strategies involved, things like this happen. And, if I'm Ogle, when I came in to make that pit stop, I was going to be a little bit conservative. So I'm going to make sure I'm not speeding. I'm going to make sure that I don't come into my box so fast that I overshoot my box and have to back up. He did those things, but didn't really anticipate some of these other drivers taking advantage of those situations and, pushing that envelope as they come into their pit box. And I believe that's what Scott did that was different. And that ultimately won him the race off pit road and the track position. And we've seen it tonight. It's been key. Whoever's been out front has stayed there throughout throughout the majority of these runs.
Yeah, do you think maybe that gave Ogle kind of a sense of false confidence there? He's been in control. Just going to come in. I can take it easy. I'm only getting 2 tires. I should easily win the race off pit road. You think, being out front the whole time can maybe inflate your head a little bit and you kind of take it too easy?
Yeah, it can. And, the big thing is when you've had that kind of night where you've dominated and you have to come in and make a pit stop, you kind of keep it in your mind that you don't want to beat yourself. You don't want to do something that takes you out of contention. Obviously, speeding on pit road or missing your pit box just a little bit can be those things that take you out. So I think that may have come into play also. Unfortunately, to win some of these competitive races when you have this kind of strength of field, you've got to push those envelopes. You've got to be right on the limit of the pit road speed limit. You got to be right on the limit of not sliding too far in your box. And sometimes those things will bite you. You do it because you don't want to beat yourself. Oh, right there we see Scott Negus getting into the outside wall. That's going to open it up for Tom to get to the inside here, but Negus has still got a good run.
Yeah, we've watched Tom kind of extend that gap from Hoyle. He was really pushing it. Now Hoyle, he's reeled him back in after that mistake, but that was his shot. He had separated himself a little bit from P3, had a chance to make a move, and now he's just got to wait here. They've got to get by these lap cars. That was a close call, but Brian Johnson gets up and out of the way here. This has not been a night to write home for the drivers in the top 5 in points.
No, it's not, and I think Tom knew that this was kind of his opportunity. They were catching a lot of lap traffic there. That kind of opens up passing opportunities for you. It didn't work out the way he wanted. Negus was willing that thing. He was definitely having to hang on to it. The thing looked like it was getting loose throughout the center of the corner, and a lot of that can just be from the way that you're braking throughout the run. And as the tires start to warm up, you start to use those brakes at the wrong time, it can knock that car sideways. I think Negus has been able to recover from that. It looks like he's running a much smoother line at this point.
Yeah, and you know, this is once again, Scott. You know I love you, man. Obviously, go back to you with the BRL, but looking back there a little bit, perfect view, Ryan. Look at that yellow car, Alan Wanamaker. He's the first car a lap down, JR. He is reeling the front pack in, so there is clearly maybe a cork in that bottle a little bit up front.
Yeah, absolutely, and that shows you, you know, who has the pace and who doesn't. Scott's doing a fantastic job, but I think he is ultimately slower than those guys that are behind him, and that's why you're starting to see all these drivers close up, including Alan Wanamaker, who has been a lap down, closing up on this pack. So it's not a bad thing, but that kind of shows you who has the speed and who doesn't. But ultimately right now, Scott Negus is doing a fantastic job of keeping these guys behind him.
No, you know, obviously, odds of this happening, JR, not very good, okay? But you see Alan Wanamaker kind of working up to these guys. Is there any part of you that says, hey, this guy's a lap down, let's let him go work on Negus for that, you know, that lead lap, and let's try to follow him on by, you know? Maybe he'll work a little harder than we're willing to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I'm one of those drivers, especially like Ken Allen, say he just got passed by Ryan Pittman, so he's actually lost a position. If I'm him or the 99 of Darrell Weininger right there, I'm going to go, hey, just let him go right now. We've got a lot of laps left in this race. Obviously, if it's the last 10, 15 laps of the race, you're not going to do that. But at this point, why not? He's caught you. Let him go by and get up there and kind of mix it up. And you never know, either that guy will get the lead or get up there and get his lap back, or he could mix it in with some of these guys and force an error. And that error that's forced could give you track position, could give you gained positions over those drivers that make that mistake.
Yeah, because, you know, I mean, this is not that that's bad. In fact, I like it, JR, but, you know, we're going to go with this style racing. It's almost encouraged. If Alan Wanamaker has that pace, he needs to go up there and try to use it, because that is the only way, and I repeat, the only way he is getting back on the lead lap is doing it under green flag. So if he's got the pace, you got to go up there, even if it maybe means using that nose a little bit. You know, you don't need to wreck the leader. I'm not talking about spinning out the leader, but just, you know, use what you got, get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm one of these drivers, you know, that Alan has to go through to get to that leader, I'm going to let him go. I'm not going to race him hard, because I know that I'm not racing him for position. And again, we got, you know, 68 laps left in this race, so there's plenty of time here. No need to race that lap car. So it puts Alan in a great position. I think he's trying to be a little bit respectful, but absolutely get up there and try to race these guys. Maybe you can make something happen, get that lap back.
Yeah, you know, it is a tough dance. Like you said, you got to be respectful, but exactly like you said, you know, it makes you look nice to Alan. You know, you maybe earn a friend letting him on by, but at the same time, you know as well as I do, you're doing it for selfish reasons. You're trying to maybe get something to work out for yourself. As Ryan Pittman thought about making a move for P3, couldn't drive it in as deep as he would have liked, and Rex Hoyle holds on for now. But Pittman, here he comes.
Yeah, and this is where it starts to get difficult for those drivers trying to make that pass. We saw Pittman; he was smart and backed out of it. Tom Ogle's trying to make that move again, but the difficult part is that the lane that's going to be open for you is that bottom lane. As we've gotten into this run, those front tires are just not gripping on corner entry like they were before. So you're having to back that entry up, and you're having to remember that every time you try to make a move, because you want to dive in there hard and get to the inside. But if you do, the car is going to push up the track, potentially into that guy that's on the outside of you. So Pittman realized that, he backed off, and that's what Ogle's kind of struggling with right now, is trying to figure out exactly how hard he can drive that car in, but maintain the bottom of the track.
Yeah, I mean, you could see perfect defense there by the 54 of Hoyle. I mean, Pittman trying to look for that drive on the outside, so Rex said, all right, I'll just drive it in a little deeper down low, and I'll float up in the center. And Pittman gives him a bump or two going down the backstretch a couple laps ago, saying, hey, I don't like that. But, man, that's what you got to do. Sometimes you got to get those elbows out. You got to make that car wide. And Rex Hoyle trying to bring home that final podium spot.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to start to get aggressive. We're coming down to about 60 laps to go in this race, and these drivers are going to start to fight harder and harder. Normally they're spread out, but like you said, I believe Negus is slowing these guys up. He's not way slower. You know, we're talking like fractions of a tenth of a second here that he's slower than the rest of these guys. But because of that, he has pulled the entire top 6 positions nose to tail, and that means that these drivers are going to get way aggressive as we get down to, say, 15, 20 laps to go. We're going to start to see some elbows come out, and this is a track that's kind of known for that. Drivers will start to push that issue. The banking kind of allows that and invites that, and we're going to see it when we get down to the end here.
Yeah, I think, we're just seeing Negus play perfect defense here. I don't think unless the guy overdrives like Negus just did, and we're side by side for the lead, I was going to say, I don't know if you can get it done, but Negus, he's got to be perfect here. The 13 going to try to float up, shut the door. Negus going to try to stick to the outside. We're side by side at the line. Oh, boy, it is heating up. Negus not going to go away just yet. Is he clear? No.
No, but he's going to have to drive it in hard to maintain the outside, and I believe Ogle is going to clear him because you just cannot carry that much speed on the outside of turn 3 and get the car to stick. So Ogle makes that pass. That was a fantastic job. He got his elbows out there, but he did it in a clean fashion. Just kind of slightly moved Negus up the track a little bit.
Yeah, now Negus, he's got to find somewhere to fall in line here. This could be a tough fall for him. If he can't string together a couple of corners, he's going to be kicking himself because he was playing perfect defense, JR, and if not for overdriving 1 and 2 there, still maybe out front, but there he drives it in a little deep. He hooks up good. He's going to run even here at the line. Give it to Negus. But boy, I don't know. Hoyle not going away here.
No, he's not, and Hoyle knows he's got to get this pass made because, 1, he's got Pittman right behind him that's trying to make a pass. But 2, if he cannot get by Scott Negus, Tom Ogle's just going to slowly walk away from these guys. And right now, Tom is not going to try to save a whole lot. I know we're still 50-something laps to go, but Ogle knows if he can get away from these guys, that gives him the opportunity to maintain that position and not have to fight at the end.
And he saw Pittman try to go high there at the end of the backstretch, gets the door slammed shut on him in there. Another block from the 54, and man, that 88, he is, or that 08 of Ryan Pittman, he is playing nice, but I'll tell you, he's probably about out of nice words here. He has got a quick race car.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's going to start to push that issue. We're getting down to 50 laps to go. It's going to become a point where you go, hey, I have to go now because I am faster, and I'm going to push that issue. I'm going to go to the inside when you leave that door open, or I'm going to move up on you a little bit if you give me that inside. And it's coming. It's not there yet, but the time is coming. These drivers, like we said, are going to start to get more aggressive.
Yeah, and I think the most frustrating part for Ryan there isn't, either of the blocks. It's that Hoyle wasn't able to get by Negus, and he feels like he can, but now he's able to get a run under Negus, who pushed up real bad coming out of 4. Couldn't tell if he had to lift out of the throttle or maybe kiss the wall, but Hoyle goes on by, and now Pittman, he couldn't capitalize on the mistake.
No, he couldn't, and that's the things you have to do if you're behind a driver that is making a pass on somebody else. You've got to make sure that you're setting yourself up to get to the inside as well. See, Pittman tried to make that move on Negus, but he hits that bump and kind of pushes up. That's going to allow Allen to close in on those 2.
Yeah, and now if Pittman can't get it done on the bottom, you got to think Allen maybe going to try to slot himself up high and follow Negus. But right now, Pittman pushes up the racetrack a little bit in the center, and I think, maybe not the nicest thing to do, JR, but when you've got the quicker car, at some point you got to kind of, be that dog pee on the fire hydrant a little bit, claim your territory going through the center of these corners.
Yeah, absolutely. You're going to try to move up a little bit in the center of the corners just because, hey, I got to go. And you see right there, that cost Negus that little bit of move up the racetrack really got him out of the groove on corner exit. He hit that wall pretty hard that time. I don't think he's got major damage, but that kind of contact is going to continue to make his car handle worse and worse.
And now going to lost the 1 to Ken Allen, probably going to lose another one to Daryl Weininger, who, if he can complete this pass, works himself up into the top 5 once again.
Yeah, big moves by Daryl tonight. He's up 13 spots for the night right now. I think the biggest mover in this race. So He's definitely looking to capitalize. He may have a little more speed than Ken Allen. It's a little bit hard to tell until we get some type of opening, in front, which we're starting to see now that Scott's moved behind these drivers. So we'll have to see if that gap between Ken Allen and Ryan Pittman continues to open up. If it does, that's a clear indicator that Darrell does have a little bit more speed.
Yeah, Ryan Pittman right now, from what I'm seeing, we'll have Ryan throw those laps up. He is the quickest guy on the racetrack, at least out of the top 3. Pittman is moving, but now he's going to have to find a way around that 54. And we've seen this battle a couple laps ago. This guy's maybe not the best of friends here at the moment, so Pittman going to have to work hard here if he wants P2.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to get it done because the laps are starting to close down. And the one thing that he's going to miss out on, you look up ahead, Tom Ogle has caught lap traffic. That is a passing opportunity if you're behind the leader when that happens. But Ogle doesn't have to worry about anybody behind him. He's going to be able to methodically go through this field and get these passes made without the threat of being passed from behind. But we do see some of those lap cars kind of mixing it up a little bit there. So it's a risk from Ogle, but right now he doesn't have much pressure from behind.
Yeah, lap cars letting by other lap cars. So right now, I mean, Ogle can't float up coming off corner exit. And we have seen this gap trend down now to under half a second. So that may have breathed some life into this 54. Rex Oil going to send it in here and knock. Ooh, didn't get a lot of help there. That's going to help Pittman, maybe. Oh, I thought Pittman was going to send it in there deep, but thought best of it and said, hey, let's go work on the leader together.
Yeah, that's the type of thing. It takes a smart, experienced driver to know not to send it in there because this track is very inviting that when you get that run, you just want to sell it off into the corner, but these cars will not stick this late into the run. They're going to push up the track, and it will create contact with an outside a car there. So Pittman knew that. He was smart enough to back off and, live to face another lap here, but he gets into the outside wall into turn 2. He's pushing hard, trying to pass Hoyle, and, just using up a little too much of the track.
Yeah, I think that was a bigger hit than it looked like, too. JR, he's carrying a lot of speed there coming out of 2. Slapped that wall pretty good, but seems to still have the handle. I mean, the way he is diamond in 1 and 2, that is definitely where he's making the money. He's just got to get close to him. Coming out of 4 as he touches the paint and almost goes around.
Yeah, these drivers are really pushing hard right now. It's going to cost him a lot of position, track position distance between him and Hoyle that he'll have to try to make up. That's going to allow Hoyle to relax a little bit, and he can just kind of run whatever line he wants to run. I think he's trying to chase down Ogle right now, but he's almost an entire second back at this time.
Yeah, that's got to kind of be disheartening if you're Hoyle. You started to reel in the 13, and mostly, I think, due because of the lap traffic, JR. Once that 13 gets out in clean air, he is quick, but he does have another lap car in front of him. Now that 33 just came out of the pits and maybe likes those new tires and not going to let Ogle go by. So Ogle, maybe he'll feel the effects a little bit of a little less downforce here the final 30 or so laps.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's something that can happen. Unfortunately for the rest of the field that's on the lead lap, trying to chase him down. Tom has a half of a tenth of a second worth of time to work with, so he's that much faster than the rest of these guys right now. And this past time, he was even faster than that. He was a full tenth of a second faster than Rex Hoyle, and almost the same on Ryan Pittman. So I think Tom's got a lot to work with. He can afford to abuse those tires a little bit and still maintain that gap he's created.
I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but with the success that Ogle's had here tonight, JR, I mean, there's a 300 lapper. I know it's a long one. Next time we come back here, I believe it may only be 100 laps. So, does it translate? Can you still carry in that momentum, or is it a totally different style of race here when we come back?
I think it's going to be a little bit easier for these guys when we come back because they've got the experience. They kind of know what to expect, and they've gone at least 100 laps on a set of tires, so they know how the car is going to react when we come back. Obviously, we're going to have different track conditions, different temperatures. That can come into play as well. But the one thing that should stand out in these drivers' mind is that track position is key. It is hard to make passes, especially up front. Ogle, he won the pole here tonight. He knows coming back that if he can get that pole, he has an extremely good shot of coming away with a win next time, because it's only 100 laps.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And, I like to highlight the BRL guys for their tire knowledge, but that's maybe where it can hurt them. They don't qualify weekly. Maybe don't focus as much on that one-lap pace. And when we roll back in here 100 laps, that one-lap pace could mean absolutely everything. And Ryan Pittman is reeled back in the 54 even after the mistake. You got to think he still has a shot for P2, but without maybe a caution or some help, you got to think this is all Tom Ogle out front.
Yeah, definitely, because the last time I checked in on Ogle, he was about 0.8 of a second out in front. He's now opened up another half second, so almost 1.5 seconds out in front of this field at this point, continuing to pull away, even when he's been catching lap traffic. So he's got this race under control. Oh, and we see a spin!
Oh, he gets into the left rear of Rex Hoyle. Oh, JR, we saw it heating up for, probably 60 laps. Those guys have been racing hard. Pittman finally gets back there. Talk us through it.
Yeah, Pittman looks to the inside. He's trying to, I see what happened there. So that wasn't anything dirty. Pittman trying to push and make that pass. He'd been working so long on it. He was running the low line, and he actually touched the apron just slightly with his left side tires. It wiggled the car, got him loose, and sent him up the track into Rex Hoyle. So, yeah, just really, really unfortunate for Hoyle, because he didn't do anything wrong and was actually given plenty of room. But, just a small mistake there by Pittman caused that to happen.
I don't mean to interrupt you, JR. Definitely a mistake by Pittman. All the leaders pit but Pittman. And I think, all right. Okay, so let's do some math here. I think 19 to go, maybe when we get the green flag, maybe 18. If Pittman, I don't believe they do in-race penalties or anything. He should stay up front. I think he may have just won the race because of what we talked about. Ogle got a fast race car, but there are going to be lots of cars in between him and Pittman, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be the struggle, is the lap cars that stayed out. So we'll have to see when they cycle back around exactly where Ogle is in comparison. But, we talked about it earlier. Obviously, these guys have gone over 100 laps since the last time they pitted. So, when you see that caution come out, you go, I have to pit, otherwise I'm going to lose this race. But because of what we talked about, staying out may have been the thing to do. Even if you're a half a second slower, say, than those guys that just pitted, they've got to come through so many cars, and there's just not that many laps left to get it done.
Tough break for Rex Hoyle there, too. I see he disconnected. So after the spin, he had enough. Going to call it a night, but that's good news for Todd Liston. That'll be one more he can try to plug off. So Hazlip came down pit road, I believe the 33. So let's do some counting. Pittman, he's going to move up to the front here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so yeah, that is not that bad. We're looking here. I'm seeing about 3 cars right now at the moment between Ogle and Pittman. Obviously, those drivers, I think, are going to be a little bit respectful now that we're inside 20 to go. They're probably going to give Ogle a lot of room, and Ogle should have clear pace with a 100-lap difference in tires, so this could get interesting.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see, too, JR, because, as well as I do, sometimes guys can be a little too respectful and maybe not want to go on this start, which Tom's going to need him to go aggressive here to try to keep pace. And he's going to need some help here, but let's see. We got the 1 to green, right? So we'll have 18 laps. I think the rubber should pay off there if you only got that many guys.
Yeah, absolutely should. We look, Torrance Childs, he's up there. He's the second car in line. He is multiple laps down, 4 laps down. I don't think he's going to be a problem. The problem that could present itself is Jeff Lemire. He's only 1 lap down there, so he's going to race.
Big gaps to the leader. That's what I said Tom didn't need. Look at that. I mean, Pittman's got half a straightaway lead. He's got to drive it like he stole it now, JR.
he's got to go hard. And yeah, a little bit surprising that there was that big of a gap on the initial start. That's normally something you wouldn't see be allowed. You would see a caution thrown to redo that. But yeah, that hurt Tom big time. He's going to be 1.3 seconds back.
Well, I mean, he's 1.3. He only needs to pick up a tenth a lap here, and he'll get to him with about 4 or 5 to go. Let's see what he does here. I think Tom's got a little more pace than that. I mean, you mentioned it, JR. He is the pole sitter. It's time to go out here and run some of those qualifying laps.
Yeah, and last time by, he actually ran his best lap of the race, but he's still about a quarter second off. It's going to take 3 or 4 laps before Pittman's tires really start to show up as being slow, and that's when we'll start to see Ogle really make the move. But Ogle's got to get there fast, because at some point these tires are going to even out. I know there's only 15 laps left, but sometimes you've got to be 2 or 3 tenths of a second faster in order to make a pass on that driver that is leading. Ogle knows that. He's got to get there fast, and he is closing in. He's down to less than half a second.
Yeah, he is right there. Now, JR, I know you're basically helpless if you're this 08, but how do you defend this? I mean, you've got 110 laps on those tires. Guy behind you has about 10.
The only thing that you can do is run that middle to high line. That's all you can do. Do not let that 13 get to the outside of you. Make him work for it, and that's what's going to happen. The 13 knows he did an over-under move. He gets to the inside going into turn 1, and he's going to have the grip. He doesn't even have to try to move up. He's got that grip on the bottom.
It made it look easy, and Daryl Weininger right there in the picture, trying to come up and pick up the scraps, maybe move into P2 as we cross the line. Lap 290 underway. We got 11 to go here at the Fairgrounds.
Yep, Daryl is on fresh tires. He pitted also with Ogle. He's going to be able to easily make that pass. He'll go into second place here. I don't think Daryl's got any kind of pace for what we've seen Tom have here tonight, but that was a big strategy move right there with that caution coming out, Daryl coming in and getting those tires. That leaped him some positions ultimately, and he's right now in second place.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that honorable mention right there at the back of that picture, the double deuce Bruce Pearson, he is running 6th place, the first car a lap down. If he would not have gotten trapped under that caution where he pit and got stuck behind the pace truck, man, he is going to wonder what could have been, because he has some pace. He is hanging right there with the leaders. Good run for the double deuce, but as the 13 crosses the line, we've got 8 to go, and Daryl Weininger is as close to the lead as he's been all night. Can he get there?
Yeah, right now they ran almost identical lap times the last time by. We'll see as they come onto the front stretch what it looks like. I think Ogle's going to be a little bit faster this time, and indeed he was, but not by much. These two drivers are pretty equal now with that fresh rubber on the car.
Hop back here. Chris Hazlip, he got tires as well the last stop, I believe. Pit lap, 280. It was a 13-seconder, so he only took right sides. But he, I don't think, has the time, even with that tire advantage, to get up to Ryan Pittman. So it's looking like if we stay green, this is what we've got in our top 3. Can Daryl Weininger inch closer as you see the lap times this time? 4 thousandths of a second slower than your leader. I mean, these guys, it's like looking in a mirror.
Yeah, they're matching each other in lap time, lap after lap, and they're doing it different ways. That's the cool thing about racetracks like this, is that you can move around and run different lines. That time by was about 9 or 10 thousandths of a second. So these drivers are doing an amazing job. They're pushing hard. Daryl knows he's got to make something happen, and if he can put the pressure on, just maybe he can make Tom make a slight mistake and open up an opportunity for him.
Man, sneaky fast is that 99. We have mentioned him a couple times throughout the night, just working his way on up through the field. I did not know he had this kind of pace, JR. I mean, he is right there as we come across the line. 2 fingers in the air, 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and Daryl has been faster the last 2 laps out on track, so he is closing in, and that's one of the things you don't always know the pace somebody has until they get out in that cleaner air up toward the front. Right now, Daryl's got that, and he's showing that he has pace.
The white flag waving one more time around. Tom doesn't have to be perfect here, just has to hit his marks. Daryl maybe overdrives the entry, slides up in the center, and you got to think final time through 3 and 4. Tom Ogle's going to reach up and grab that checkered flag as he dominates 300 laps here at the Fairgrounds. Daryl Weininger with a huge P2, and Ryan Pittman rounding out the podium. JR, man, oh man, we got our long green flag runs. What a way to finish this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And for Tom Ogle, the perfect night. Starts on the pole, gets the win, but Daryl Weininger, the biggest mover in that race, comes up one short, but up 16 spots. That's big.
Yeah, Tom maybe had to work a little harder for that one than he thought he was gonna, but ends up in P1. Good run for the 13. We're gonna step away here on the Virtual Grip Network, take a short break, let these drivers maybe get a drink, maybe open a bag of snacks, because this was a long one. Stick around and we'll be right back with your rundown and interviews from your top 3. We're back live on the Virtual Grip Network, and man, spoiler alert, we just had an amazing 300 laps here at the Nashville Fairgrounds, and if you haven't watched it, pause it, go back now, because we're about to do the rundown here of the finishing order. And your winner this evening, the 13 of Tom Ogle, dominated this thing. He had lost the lead for a little bit after a pit stop error, but found his way back to the front. And if not for Daryl Weininger closing in there at the end and coming in a close P2, could have stunk up this finish. But Ryan Pittman rounding out the podium third. The Lipper, Chris Hazlett with a good P4, hung around on the lead lap all night. And a top 5, he is going to be pumped with that one. Scott Negus rounds out the top 5. The Double Deuce, Bruce Pearson, your first car a lap down, coming home 6th. Jeff Lemire coming home 7th. Todd Cousins 8th. Todd Liston 9th. And Kenny Allen rounds out the top 10.
Yeah, coming home in 11th place tonight, we got Torrance Childs, 12th place, Alan Wanamaker, Randy Schuler, he'll come home in 13th. We got the Hilbert brothers, Steve and Tom, coming home 14th and 15th. Brian Johnson, he'll come home in 16th place tonight. 17th will be John Hastings. We see Rex Hoyle back in 18th, having that battle up toward the front in the closing laps, making some contact there. 19th place will be Victor Lane. Brian Neff, he'll come home in 20th.
The Fish, Mark Fish coming home in the blackjack position. Lowell Jewell, 22nd. Jeffrey Harden, 23rd. And as I find my spot, Lloyd Moore, 24th. Brian Bianchi with a tough night there. Went a lap down early, and then the hard contact with the inside wall, coming home 25th. And Gavin Adams rounds out the field in 26th. Well, now that we got through our rundown here, I believe we're going to interview the man who came home in P3, Ryan Pittman. Shaggy up in the booth, man. You got a copy?
Hey, what's up, man?
Well, hey, man, you had a lot of speed in this thing tonight, and, I know probably not the funnest moment out there, but you're trying to make a pass for P2 there, 20-some laps to go, and we saw you clip that apron and some contact was made, man. That's just some good, hard racing as far as I'm concerned. But what's going through your head there when you make a contact?
Yeah, kind of like you said. We kind of talked a little bit after the race. I guess I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago. I try to do the best I can to race clean, and I probably shouldn't have stuck a nose there anyway. He left me just a little bit of room, and I tried to keep it as low as possible and hook that line. And I just flipped up, got a little bit too low, clipped the apron, and washed up into him. I hate, I have to send him a message afterwards and apologize, but it was just so tough to get a run, man. Like you kind of run the top, try to build a little momentum, and it just stalled out by the time you got there. You could never really effectively get down to the bottom like 100%. It just made it tough.
No, especially, at that point, you guys coming up on almost 100 laps on that set of tires, and clearly, guys have aged their tires differently, and what seemed to be the trick tonight to work those tires in slow? Because now maybe you didn't have the fast one-lap pace, but you and Tom Ogle, man, on those long runs, you guys were like no other. What was the trick to nursing those tires around tonight?
I don't know. I kind of like to enter it a little bit high. Of course, obviously run the brake bias as far back as you can to kind of keep heat out of the front, but I like to try to run.
I'm trying to angle that. I'm glad you admitted to that. I was the first person to admit to that, but I've been trying to pull that out of guys.
Yeah, and it's kind of tough with the torque in this car, but try to heat up the rears a little bit under yellows if you can. But that's just kind of worked for me. But then trying to enter right down on the apron once again off the exit, and if you can hook it right, it'll just carry the car all the way around, especially in one where it kind of hops and skips through the bumps. It actually kind of picks the rear a little bit and kind of carries it through the corner.
Now, before we get you out of here, I got one more question for you. Obviously you inherit the lead after Tom goes down pit road. Were you thinking maybe, hey, enough cars stay out that I can steal this win there? Because it looked like there for that first pace lap, it was going to work out for you. You had like 8 or 9 cars in between you and Tom, but then they all decided to hit pit road.
Yeah, no, I was actually not looking at the screen. I was looking at the replay from the broadcast, trying to see what happened there, and then I wasn't going to try to dip down pit road that late. and try to do something. But no, I was just trying to look at the replay, see exactly what might have happened between me and Rex. Again, I hate that happen.
Yeah, man. That's just one of the things. Short track racing, long green flag runs, old tires. It's going to happen, Ryan. Definitely nothing malicious out of it. We could tell. You go down, clip that paint, you hit the bump, and you just fly it up. It stinks, but at the end of the day, man, still able to bring home a podium. Congratulations on the good run, man. Who you want to thank?
Just y'all putting on the thing, and of course the Alan Wanamaker. I'm always a big component of short track racing. You know me. Nashville Fairgrounds is a really cool track. I hope to try to get out there in November for the 400. But just a shout out, like my little short track we have here in Raleigh, Wake County Speedway. I do some track announcing out there and doing some volunteer work for them. So Wake County Speedway and a couple of the other guys in the short tracks all around the nation. Go support your short tracks, man. They're great, and there's no guarantee they'll be around forever. So do that.
Raleigh, I'll be down in your area for my brother's bachelor party. We're taking him to the Supercross event down there at the drag strip. So
Friday night, man, come see us.
If you have any, good places to eat, feel free to shoot me a message, Ryan. I'd appreciate it. But hey, good run tonight, man, and I hope we talk to you again soon. Congratulations on third.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
That's Ryan Pittman, your third place finisher. And now you got a man who we've talked to a couple times here, JR, your hard charger. Who you got?
Yeah, I got Daryl Weininger as our second place finisher here tonight. Daryl, congratulations, man. You're the biggest mover in this race, up 16 spots. But we weren't so sure that you had pace to contend with Tom there at the end, but you clearly did. Where'd that pace come from?
So it clearly did not come from qualifying. I think, I don't know, I think I've run the asphalt sprint car here so many times that my right foot is kind of, I'm scared of it. And so I think on long runs, I definitely had speed on long runs just the way I drove it. But yeah, on those last couple restarts, I'm like, man, I wish I was faster because I'm right here behind Tom if I was just faster.
It was tough for sure. It looked like out there to try to make some passes, but I got to go through the point standings with you a little bit. I know Daytona didn't go the way that you wanted to, but since then you've been making a big charge up through the standings. Came in here tonight in 7th place. The only driver ahead of you in points that you didn't finish ahead of was Tom, so you're going to move up again. How good is that? How good of a feeling is that moving forward throughout the rest of the season, knowing that you're continuing to make that climb?
Well, I mean, this is a 300-lap race, and I wasn't... I knew we had a 100-lapper and a 300-lapper. I thought tonight was a 100-lapper, and I was like, oh, man, that's a long time. And we were just talking in the chat that all of our spotters came on and said, you're at halfway, and we all kind of went, oh, my God, we still have a lot of race left here. So, no, I just, when I got up there in 6th or 7th place and there was a lot of lappers, I was just saving tires and trying to finish well. So this is the track that I'm good at, and I've got a lot of laps in. So, making a silly mistake and hitting the wall on the outside, which is something I do all the time here. I just kept chastising myself. Don't hit the wall! Don't hit the wall! So, I was real excited, and I was trying to scare Tom a little bit, but he's just too good.
Yeah, we talked about the strategy you had there was definitely a good one to have. Just take care of your stuff, get to the end of the race. So it ultimately paid off in this 300-lapper. Before I let you go here, you guys get about a month off in this league. Then you come back to this racetrack at the Fairgrounds for the 100-lapper. How much different are you going to have to run that race compared to what you did here tonight?
It will be a lot more aggressive when we take the green flag going into turn 1. I can guarantee you. When we took the green flag tonight, I was like, wow, look at this. I think we all realize this is a 300-lap race, but it will not be like that in a month from now. So
it's definitely what we expect out of you guys. A lot of hard, tough racing out there in these modifieds. But hey, Daryl, congratulations on that 2nd place run. Maybe next time we come back here, we'll get to talk to you again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
All right, guys, that was Daryl Weininger, 2nd place finisher tonight. Who you got now, Shaggy?
Well, different league, but not such a long time since we've had a talk, Tom. Another win for you. How are we feeling, brother? 300 laps and you come out on top.
This was a tough one. This might be the toughest win I've ever had, I think. I felt like when I was chasing, I was driving so hard, and then when I was out in front, it was like always like taking shifts, like just burning me up. Like there wasn't a moment's rest in those 300 laps, really. Now I didn't want to see that last caution at all, though, because I was still running pretty good laps.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you that later, but we'll lead into that now. You were running really good laps. I mean, we had them displayed. You were about a tenth quicker than everybody else out there on the racetrack. Was it a tough call for you to come in and pit, or did you kind of think if I don't pit, everybody else is gonna pit?
I had to pit there because I was running like say 17 sevens, and on new tires you can run a 17 flat, so you're going to be so much faster. And now maybe old tires, like when they cool down, you'll have 3 or 4 laps. Well, you saw Ryan stayed out on tires, and he had 3 or 4 laps where he was fine. But then once like his tires got temperature in them, I knew I had to pit. Now I never took left side tires, and I was still at like 93% left front.
Okay, because that's what I was going to say. Because obviously, there a while when you were running in second, I believe that was, can't even remember who was out in front of you. That was Negus. Yep, that was right. Were you a little shocked because you both took 2 tires? I was kind of shocked that you lost that spot. Did we take it a little easy going in or out of the pits? What was the deal there?
I'm not sure. Like, he kind of caught up to me. I'm not sure what happened. I took a full fuel load there, and I kind of wondered if he maybe had taken less fuel than me, because you have to wait on fuel. So it was probably came down to he maybe needed less fuel because he wasn't running. I'm not sure where he's running, but if he had to take a gallon less fuel, that would have been enough time to get off pit road before me. That had to be what it was.
Obviously, for everybody else who didn't, you showed them. I mean, track position, that's a big part of the battle here. You came out here and qualified first. How important is it that you come out and nail qualifying when we come back here in a couple weeks, Tom? Because we're only going 100 laps in a couple weeks.
That's going to be really important. Wasn't too worried about 300 laps, but like you got to go. And I think it's going to be a whole different race. Like when I was behind Scott, we went back green, and like I'm just driving with my hair on fire and every lap. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be better late. So I just backed my corner up and was kind of riding because I knew he would have to burn up his right front up on top there, So once I backed off and got my, you lose the lead and you're all wound up and running twice as hard as you need to. You forget everything that got you the lead to start with. So once I got calmed back down, I knew eventually I would get it back. But in 100 laps, like if you're at lap 70 and you go green, you're not getting the lead back.
It's unbelievable the difference in what you feel in the race car and what we see up here, because JR and I did nothing but compliment you for rolling around in second place, real calm, watching Negus overdrive corner entry, man. If you thought you were overdriving that thing, boy, I'll tell you, man, you got a lot more to offer.
Probably the first 10 laps, I was definitely overdriving it. Like when Rex was like right there with me, so I kind of had to overdrive it almost a little bit. But once I was driving really hard, like, thank goodness the car wasn't loose, because if the car's loose here and you come off 2 and hit that bump off of 2, it will spin you around. So, but yeah, once I got my head straight, I was just riding. But I didn't want to use, like, we were going through that lap traffic, and I went on the radio and told them that let's take our time and go through the lap traffic. I'm not going to use a lap car to pick him either, because they were kind of running different lines and stuff. But I just needed a long run there to get by him.
You're exactly right, man, and you got it, and you brought home a checkered flag. Congratulations, Tom. You're definitely going to be the favorite when we roll back in here a couple of weeks, but for now, you got a lot of people you probably want to thank on the good win, man. Who are they?
Mark Fish, my teammate, we were talking the whole race till he got wrecked out. I want to thank Alan for putting on the league. He does an unbelievable job and puts in so much time, like just keeping it going and updating us and putting tidbits on the Discord and stuff. And thanks you guys to broadcasting it, and just feels good to get a win. I've had some horrible luck in this league this year. Like, just disastrous things happen. So it's good to get a win. It's like a relief.
Well, yeah, not only that, Tom, but when you take a look at these results, well, I mean, obviously with a win, but nobody in the top 6 really even finished near that top 5. So good points night for you tonight.
Good.
Congratulations, man. Can't wait to talk to you again.
All right, I'll see you guys in a while.
And that's Tom Ogle bringing home the checkered flag. Man, JR, it was a long one. You could hear it in Daryl Weininger's voice whenever, he brought up the spotter, mentioning halfway, but they survived. And, well, we're going to be back here again in a couple weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. Ultimately, tonight was about getting to that finish, 300 laps. A lot can happen in that, and the drivers mentioned it, not running as hard as what they might do the next time we come back. And I fully expect the next time we come back to see some really hard racing. Drivers are going to have to get up on that wheel, get the elbows out, and be aggressive.
Yeah, and you see that there. It's going to be Tuesday, May 20th, basically a month away. And as always, 8:25 Eastern here on the Virtual Grip Network. But coming up next this Thursday, got a little red light racing SK Modifieds. Oh, man, JR, Martinsville, you bringing the boxing gloves with you?
Oh yeah, gonna need them. That's the season finale right there. So it'll be good to watch the RLR guys go at it and finish out their season. But yeah, Martinsville gonna have to get up on the wheel there. It's gonna be aggressive also.
It's definitely going to be one to remember here. This Flameless 300 was a good one, and everyone here at the YesterYear Tour Modified Series would like to thank you for tuning in. And, well, on behalf of everyone at the Virtual Grip Network, I'd like to thank my partner, JR, the dude in the back, Ryan Seneker, and last but not least, all of you. Have a good night.